Good morning and welcome to today's live show. If you are not watching this live, you weren't able to make it this morning, then tune into the last 15 minutes for a little bit of a breakdown at the end of this video. So look for that last 15 minutes. We got a lot to pay attention to today. Remember, if you want to learn some of this stuff before that bear market hits, we do have that course available down in the description. If you want those weekly ranges for every stock we cover on this channel, you can get that down in the description below on Patreon. All right, so let's look forward. As we're seeing today, the SPY gapping up. This means we can now use this as support, but remember, this is all that the options market expected for today. You see us opening up right now, that 2-hour just about to cross. So we have to see if this move is going to hold. Very, very important for the Qs. And good morning as you trickle in. Holding above this level going to be very important, as the Qs actually did get that crossing of the MACD here. So we have to see, are we going to see this project higher, give us some kind of divergence like we've been talking about for a little bit now. Well, we've been talking about this for quite some time. We've been calling it pretty well, and we were saying this is most likely to head upward, and now we're seeing that move. So we have to pay attention throughout today, make sure nothing is fading, because we could see more upside if we continue above this level right here. TLT, solid bounce there as well, seeing that bounce up, just about to cross on the 2-hour. This was a trade that we've been talking about for a little bit here. The VIX starting to rotate down, just like we were saying, go negative at this point, maybe fill this gap, get another point of divergence down in this area. We'll be looking at the VIX, for the next couple of days, pretty close before Friday. Just interesting to see, we're making upward moves before CPI. So that is a big deal. We can go over to Apple real quick. This thing finally looking like some green, but boom, look at that. It's really struggling to get that firm positivity out of the gate here. So that's something to pay attention to. Looking around here today, we can see Meta breaking to the upside. This one's a little worrisome. It's well outside of its range at this point. Google actually turning down at this point. So signs here that Google doesn't want to go any higher than where it's at right now. So because we're trading like water, we're not messing around or anything like that, I am going to take profit on all my upside moves right now. And the one that we just have to see about is going to be NVIDIA. Is this actually going to cross today? Okay, so let's actually go through all of them, right? We went through Apple. Now we need to see, is Tesla going to see that positivity? Very well could. Is Amazon going to continue higher? Well, it's starting to reach those higher levels, so I want to check my weekly ranges. And we have a tiny bit more upside for Amazon as well. So Amazon could be getting a firm upward move here. See if it's able to hit something like 185 by the end of the day. NVIDIA, this thing is still in its consolidation here, right? But we weren't too worried about this. The 2-hour looks like it wants to cross up. If that thing crosses up every time we've seen positivity, even back here, positivity, right? So we have to pay attention to any upside, because we could be getting a move like this by the end of the week. But are we going to maybe consolidate more before that happens? That's what we'll pay attention to. AMD looking like it wants to go positive here. So this 2-hour needs to go into positive territory. Meta just showing you guys it's well outside of its range at this point. Okay, it's well outside of its range. The daily is starting to look like it wants to curl up. Look how much room this has. So if we want to see strength for a few days here for Meta, we very well could. We could spread out these Bollingers. We've consolidated for some time. We could see a reaction upward. So I want to pay attention to maybe my monthly expected move for Meta, and it has a little bit of room to the upside. It's got another 20 points to the upside if I look at those ranges as of right now. So Meta looking like a big move is coming, but will that resistance just come in as of right now? That's what we have to pay attention to today. This one here, we are going to get out of most of our positions going forward, just to kind of start fresh on the day. I think that's a very good thing to do this morning. TLT, I kind of want to keep that one, right? That one looks pretty good. Okay, TLT looking pretty good. Remember, we do get data tomorrow, but TLT looking pretty good here, like it wants to cross up even on the daily here in positive territory. So could get some kind of big reaction from TLT upward here. We really could. You have some divergences. You can even, double click your RSI, see if you have divergence across here. Guess what? Look at this flatness all the way across, coming down like this. Weirdly enough, you look at RSI behavior like this, it's starting to consolidate, right? So we're looking for some kind of explosive move. Most likely that will be to the upside from that consolidation, even on the RSI. So that is something to pay attention to. If that would happen, break to the upside, well, we would get that crossing of the MACD. Maybe we want to break through this wedge. So that's something I would pay attention to throughout the day. As we go down a little bit, I just wanted to show you Microsoft looking like it wants to curl up one more time. Daily looks like it could curl up one more time. 2 hour crossing positive territory. Very, very good stuff happening there. So at this point, you'd say, hey, Apple's being a little slow on that. I just had Microsoft cross. Maybe I want to swing trade this one instead, play that upside range, get a quick little 4-point move, see what happens from there. But Google really starting to fade down. This could still be consolidation up in this area, so I want to pay attention if there's any moves upward. I'd really like to see just Microsoft go up and make a point up in here. Very good opportunity for a trade if Microsoft makes a big upward move. So let me go into the chat. Let me say good morning to you guys. Aaron, what up? Mojoma, what up? Hector, Aaron, Marina, Dave, Philip, Polar Bear Man, Donald, Morpando, Matthew. Thank you guys for showing up this morning. Thank you guys for liking the video. How much leverage did you use? They were just simple option trades. So I had a few contracts on 2 trades, lost 5% on one, but made 20, 30% on the other, and I'm up over 100% on TLT right now, so. Got out of my SPY calls too soon, but had $700 in profit, so glad I made that money. Yeah, exactly. That's a good attitude. Yeah, you're like, hey, I could have done a little better. That's fine to say, but just be happy that you're able to make morning. Good morning, like I like anime. What up? The Boost is here. John's here. So we see some upside here. This would just lead me to believe, hey, maybe Microsoft is going to make some kind of big upward move. If that happens today, remember we get data tomorrow. So I might even be out of my TLT trade, by the end of today, just because we actually get some data tomorrow, right? So we're coming up towards the center line. I could see weakness here, even though it looks good on the 2 hour. I've made a good amount of money, so most likely I will be out of that position. I'm up 114%. So I'm just going to go ahead and get out of all my positions, kind of have a reset for the day. I think that's a good way to do it. So now I'm resetting. I have no trades out there. I'm going to take my 100%. I took a loss of about 5-10% on one, but the 114% will make up for that. So now I just want to look for a very basic play. I want to look for a good entry. You guys know I'm a position trader. So what I want to do is look for little entries, right? I want to look for stocks that are giving me pretty obvious ones. One of those might be Microsoft. Now, a lot of the time, before that 2 hour rolls over, we like a 30-minute divergence. So if we see something like this, maybe we actually do that. I get a little divergence up here, then I can take that trade. One that was looking pretty good was Google. Google, right, getting this almost double top up here. So this one might be one that you want to get, right away. Or at least I'm talking for myself. I might want to just see a move upward here, get that divergence. You have it right now with almost a double top here. So that's something to pay attention to. Remember, this is all Google has for the whole week. Meta, remember, this is all Meta has for the whole week. So Meta just exploding to the upside at this point. So we got to see what we want to do throughout the day. Tell me your guys' plays. Bought last night, sold this morning. Not a bad thing, right? We actually get that big move. Thank you. All I trade right now is crypto. I feel like they just set that bull trap. I'm back 100% in cash. If you're trading crypto, make sure to do your analysis on a 4 hour. Look for those divergences on a 4 hour. You literally could have been out of crypto. You could have been out of Bitcoin at the top up here if you just followed a 4 hour chart, right? This is something we posted to Patreon, right? We posted, hey, we're curling up. We have consolidation up here. We're curling up positive territory. We can see a positive move. Watch out for divergence though, right? We see this triple top up here. We see it across right here, and then we see way lower on the MACD down here, able to cross, go negative. So by this bar right here, that's 69.4K, you should not be taking any upside to Bitcoin, but you're seeing that 4 hour crossover now. So what can we do? We can go up to the next source of liquidity. If we're going to head higher here, we could actually come up to this area, do this, get a little head and shoulders, and maybe we actually want to see this keep extending. So we have to be open to more upside. We haven't gotten anything to break in the system, anything crazy like that. So we have to pay attention to that going forward. But Microsoft making a good upward move here. So this is one that I'm going to be paying attention to. Meta's one that I'm going to pay attention to, seeing that kind of wick out throughout today as well. Let's see if I can get some kind of position. There we go. Much better. Go with this guy. We're gonna do 2. Keep it small. Nice and easy. Meta's just 1. I'm gonna see if I can play some kind of downward move to this area down here. This 501. 20 points would be very, very good for a nice move down here. But one that I would pay attention to, Microsoft. This looks pretty good. So if you get this 2-hour divergence here, this is definitely one I'm going to be looking into. Let's go over see how Nvidia's doing for today. See if we're actually going positive. See, this thing's just really struggling to turn up. That's just not what you want to see. Now, this could just be a late reaction. We could see rotation out of Meta, rotation out of Microsoft, Google, all these things, and then see that just tacked on to Nvidia soon. But as this keeps rolling over, you have to start to look at the 30-minute again and just see if this thing is going negative, right? So we curled down for one moment, we curled up for one moment now. Are we going to curl back down, or are we going to see this go upward? Well, this thing has to show you some positivity here, to be honest. This thing has to show some positivity on the 30-minute. That would get you into positive territory. Then you can cross over that 2-hour, and if the 2-hour goes positive, then maybe we actually break this to the upside. That's what I would say about Nvidia as of right now. AMD, similar, right? We're seeing this kind of build up. It's right by the center line. Might want to cross down. If it crosses down, we're going to test this low, maybe make a new one. So when this area breaks, this is going to be very important because we've been in this area for so long. You're just trapped in this area here, right? So if we see a break to the upside, you know, past this high, probably past that 185 level, good sign. But if we start to break below 174.50, that would be a bearish sign there. So you're looking for a break one way or the other. Not looking the best as of right now. You really want to see some strength today. But one stock that's seeing some strength is Meta. One stock seeing some strength is Microsoft. Microsoft seeing some big strength here. Seeing if we can get that upside move. See a good upward move here. We could get some solid divergences to form. But as you are seeing, the SPY and the Qs, they're above their range, right? So we have to see if they're able to fade throughout the day, set up some kind of lower high or something like that. But this is a good sign, right? The SPY coming up into this area. This is where we talked about we could form that right shoulder. Okay, so if we want to do something like this, base out, end in this area, or end somewhere down in this area, even today or tomorrow, go like that, scoop down like this, we could actually see a positive reaction to CPI initially, which a lot of people saying that this is actually going to be bad news. But when you do look across the board, there's an argument for both ways, right? Meta going extreme, Microsoft showing a bunch of divergences, Google not showing a ton of strength up here, showing you those divergences, showing you the divergence possible here on the daily scale. So maybe it does want one more reaction up, but be very careful because you could set up another divergence up in this area. I'd be looking at a 30-minute, but as of right now, that 30-minute cross down, you're looking for positivity to come back in. Not the best sign for Google, but no crash down until we lose that 20-day moving average, though, right? No crash down until we see that 20-day moving average crossed. Tesla fading the move at this point. What do you guys think? What do we think is going to happen the rest of the day? Nvidia is such a cheeky fucker. Palantir's up 5%. Good. Spotify is still pumping. Should I hold AMD calls? That's really up to you, but you can see, I would just say if this crosses down, you want to be very safe here. What you can do is this crosses down, comes down into this area. Maybe you make a little divergence here. That would be telling. If this rolls down, though, you would say the upside's probably not there. What you want to see is maybe some kind of divergence form at this point because you're not seeing that strength in the morning here. So I'd say if you start to break below this level, this is probably a false breakout to the upside here, and we're maybe going to see that happen. So, like I said, I'm being very risk managed. So I got out of I had a play on Nvidia. I got out of that once I see this start to fade down. I'm like, no, I want that strength out of the gate. I want this 2-hour crossing up and going positive. If this isn't going positive, you'd say AMD might struggle a little bit. Microsoft wicking on the 5-minute. Just know this is the 2 hour bars, they're really, really good. They give you a lot of time in the bars. You know that you're not getting some kind of random 5 minute down bar or something like that. 2 hour will show you like, yes, this is strength. And then we have to see if we form that divergence up in this area. This area up here can be very resistant. I'm going to show you guys on the daily Microsoft why I believe it's reaching and top very, very soon in April. Is just because look how tight we are in this structure, right? We're in this like little wedge or this bigger wedge down here, then we have a big wedge kind of wedging with the price action up in this area right here. So we have 3 touches. That's very good. We have 3 touches. That's very, very good. Almost 4. So you can say this is pretty solid structure. That divergence already confirmed. So if we see another upside move, you see how tight we're getting. A lot of the time you like to break through these at about 70% through the structure. So the fact that we're creeping more and more, hitting about 80%, about to go 90%, you'd say, yeah, this is maybe hitting a peak very, very soon here in April. So very interesting to see what is going to happen going forward. I'm still paying attention to upside for Microsoft right now as it just crossed on the MACD. I don't really have an entry into a trade just yet on this. Meta, I just see this thing going ballistic, so I'm going to take a small play on this, see if anything happens with this, but maybe it wants to create some kind of 30-minute divergence first, right? It could create that 30-minute divergence. I'm thinking some resistance comes in at this high, but you'd have to say this is very, very good. Maybe we want to come out of this, get some kind of retest, and then see that explode. This would be a great, great handle here if we're able to do that. It'd be a deep handle too. You go down into the area where you just broke out from. Like that's very, very good stuff. So if we see a 20-point move down, that would be okay. I think Microsoft can test higher. I think Microsoft can. I know it can because it crossed up on the 2-hour MACD, right? So I know it can. But where will that end? Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Most likely what's going to happen here, well, look at this. What if we build the cup, get a handle, and then head upward into next week? And then next week, we actually see that break down, right? This would be Friday next week. So I'm going to take my time on this one. Meta, I'm going to jump into, just see if I can catch something good up in this area. That 2-hour divergence not showing on the RSI right now. So really just want to see, but you're seeing like we can go into the shorter time frames, get little 15-minute divergences that maybe give you an entry point. My goodness. I don't know. It can keep failing all at once, right? It can keep failing, keep failing, keep failing. The good part for these shorter time frames is if you really were looking for an entry, well, you can curl up and go positive here. If you're going to see upside, first of all, the 15-minute, definitely. These shorter time frames, they have to curl up into positive territory. So just note that the longer you consolidate at lower levels, just like AMD, the longer you consolidate, the bigger move that is coming. A big move is coming for AMD, for NVIDIA, and you know that because look at NVIDIA's Bollinger Bands. So you know a big move is coming. Is that going to be up? Is that going to be down? Well, you have a lot of stocks actually telling you it's most likely going to be down. You have Meta saying, hey, I'm outside of my weekly range. I'm about to go touch my monthly range. So that is like 15 points, 20 points higher. So make sure you're going on Patreon down in the description if you want that range. But you just say, hey, this could curl up, positive territory. We can see positivity for quite some time here. That resistance level there, I think, might hold strong. But Microsoft's another one. It's saying, hey, I got a little upside, but other than that, my momentum is dead. So be a little cautious there. And you're actually seeing the reaction in Google right now. You're not seeing an upward push because the momentum in this is really, really dying out. We've showed you divergences up here. You got divergence across the way here now that could confirm soon. It's pretty steep here on the RSI, right? So it's pretty steep here. So you want to pay attention to all those types of things. Things like Netflix. Netflix looking like it can bust higher, but look at that. It's just trailing higher here with tons and tons of divergences across the board, right? Tons of divergences here. Amazon's another one, giving you just tons of divergences across the board. Even in the recent price action, you have all that flatness down there of the MACD, looking like Amazon wants to possibly top out here, right? So this did just curl up on its MACD on the daily, but will that just curl back down and give you that good point of divergence here? So Amazon's going to be a good one to look at as well. And I've traded that one before. I'm pretty comfortable with it. So I might go look at how much stuff is and then figure out a plan, right? I'm going to figure out a plan, look for an entry point in this overall move. I think this one, screw it. Buy a few contracts of this, then watch my divergences play out, see if they're able to play out. If they don't, I can sell by end of day and be pretty safe here. I'm just gonna wait for this 2 hour here to go more in on some puts. I want this to confirm. I think this one here is gonna matter. We have big data coming out tomorrow. TLT could go nuts, right? TLT could go nuts. Because we have data tomorrow, I made 114% here. Sure, I could hold it. It could go up to here and I'd make 500%. Like I said, the fast way to make money in the market is the slow way, and I'm going to take my 114%. And both those options going green, up a little bit there. I mean, how many times can NVIDIA, right? Yeah, so this thing is just, it's hard to call because it's breaking down dramatically. The good part is across the board, we've called the other ones pretty well. It's just NVIDIA's not seeing that strength, which is very interesting. Maybe we do have a rotation into the other stocks, but this is showing weakness here. I'll be out right after the down move happens. Yeah, and maybe I just play that down to the weekly expected move or something like that. Well, we just need to pay attention. Are the Qs breaking back below? Is the SPY breaking back below? Because in this area, if you reject on the 2 hour here, that would be very bearish. You would be going directly into negative territory with a rejection, and maybe you cross through this low and you go make a new low. So right now you have a high. You have a lower high. If this solidifies itself and comes down and makes a new low, you have a low and a new low. So that is something to pay attention to. If we're not going to see anything crazy happen throughout the rest of this week, I would expect us to see some kind of upward move still. Get some kind of, maybe we even fade this move, come back up by the end of tomorrow, and then next week we see that drop off before CPI and we get an upward move. So I could see that happening, but if we start to just make a new low here, then you'd have to say, okay, I'm looking out for divergences here, looking out for that reaction of CPI, but if that comes out as bad, well, we're breaking down pretty quick. If we can end the week, if we can end on Friday down in this area, even down here, well, you're going to shift those weekly expected moves, right? You're going to shift down. So that's a good sign that you might head lower. But good morning. Make sure you're liking the video this morning. Happy you guys are here today. Hola, Jorge. Mr. Rosales, welcome. Aaron, still here. Inks, do you think Microsoft could test higher? We talked about that a little bit. And anything else? I'd love to see a Bitcoin dump. Bitcoin really can dump, by the way. Like I said, I think Bitcoin can be an inflationary hedge, just kind of like gold. And I think you got things like, let's look at gold for a sec. So maybe we need to maybe you guys could tell me how I could make my YouTube videos better. I noticed the viewership dropping off a little bit on those. Live video doing great. I just want to see if there's anything you guys want me to change in my videos, maybe. I know I'm running through stuff a little fast lately. So gold, look at that huge move up. What do we see? Well, we have a flatness of the MACD and flatness of the RSI as of right now. Coming up a little bit higher, so maybe this is just going to digest and we're going to keep going. That would mean very, very bad things about inflation. If we see this do even this and then pop up again, that would tell you, hey, inflation's still here. People are still hedging against it. The same thing can be said with Bitcoin. Bitcoin kind of a hedge at this point, but I think what's happening here is this hedge probably isn't as good, is what I would say. I would say if you really want to hedge, it's going to be gold for inflation. But when we go through a deflationary event, I do expect gold to come off. Maybe we actually want to look at a daily chart here. I'm pretty sure this thing's just popping off. Yeah, look at that, just popping off. Little divergence there on the RSI. Could be some kind of pullback before you head higher. AMD is just really hard to trade right now because it's stuck in that range. It's not giving you which way it wants to go. But as of right now, if you look on the daily, what does this look like? Well, it looks like some kind of consolidation, possibly to even head lower, right? If you kind of knock out the noise and just say, what does this look like? It looks like consolidation. So you want to wait for that break up, that breakdown. Let's get rid of this line so we can see that. And if we break down, I suspect we're going to go down to 162. I really, really expect us to go down to something like 163, 162. I'm going to mark 163.06. Let's just put that on 163. Right there. I think that's where you head to, right? You come down, you fill a gap, you get a big reaction, then you actually see that fall off. So this could be happening right now just because you're not seeing big strength. But NVIDIA, it's up 1%. Apple not seeing the strength either. So even though you have strength on some stocks, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, just a time to be a little careful. Remember, we do have another rock in the stream tomorrow that could shake things up. We get bad numbers tomorrow. We could see those yields pop up. We could see TLT back off. I feel like the viewership slows down when the market isn't bulling. I know a lot of YouTubers just pick one stock per video, with the video only being 5 to 10 minutes. They're also uploading a couple of videos a day too. Yeah, and I don't want to put out too much. I'm already doing a live video, which we already put out there, and people get a little during the day breakdown. In the last 15 minutes of this video, we do that. But overall, I know that weekend videos, we're going to try to go a little bit into fundamental, some other charts that we're seeing on other stuff, looking at credit and things like that. I think that's very helpful for an overall gauge of where we're at. And if you pay attention to that kind of stuff, you would say we are not in a good spot, but that doesn't mean the stock market can't go up. We're not in a good spot, but the market can continue to go up until something breaks. Rose about to say bye to the girls. Watch. They got some time left. They got a little time left. They're going. Guess where they're going today, guys? Guess where the girls are going? You've been on this live channel long enough. You know where the girls are going this morning. Good morning. What is your opinion of GE split spin-offs? I mean, splits are usually some positive news. Grandmas! Oh, I wish we were going to Disney. That'd be sick. Actually, I don't wish that because we have a baby. Once she's not a baby, I'll wish that. Viewership, stop with the R-Walkers news stations. It could be looking at a decent correction, but you have to support it and give time expectations. Doom, doom, doom just burns people out. Yeah, I think that's true. A lot of the thumbnails you have to make to get people to click on it can be pretty doomy, but if you see, I do think something bad is coming around the corner. But even last night's video, I was more leaning towards correction at this point. I don't think I even said the word crash. I was just saying we could go to some kind of correction. But I have to be open to it. The signals are here for some kind of crash, so I have to be open to it. Doesn't mean I can't trade it back when it goes the other way. Indicator that we're about to hit a correction. I don't know necessarily. I mean, I like to follow things like what is the dollar doing? What is this doing? What are yields doing? And where is the overall stock market at right now? And you can just see from the potential here, you can see we can keep going up. Like you just carved it out. You got a test of the 20. Now you can head upward. That's still possible. Not saying that's not possible. I'm just saying how things are looking at the same time as where the fear is at, where the dollar is at, where these yields are at. Everything just doesn't look the prettiest. Now, the dollar coming off pretty dramatically, this means we bought ourselves maybe a few days, right? We bought ourselves some time here, so now you want to see if we see some positivity in the market. We just said we have room to the upside. So that means maybe this curls down. We actually come all the way down to here before that reverses. Or maybe this divergence up here proves it wrong and we just see a huge bull run, right? Divergence up here, you see it on the MACD. Looks like it's barely there on the RSI. So if this starts to break through this low, you could say, hey, dollar might be in a negative trend. I'm just saying that would be bad because that would mean I think inflation is back. But yeah, every time that we put out a video, we're trying to give a bullish and bearish scenario. It's good to watch all the stock video just because um, it's good to watch the whole thing because you can get hints from other stocks, right? So if you watch the whole video and you see Nvidia and we're like, oh, I could curl up, you could see major positivity here, but you don't pay attention to Meta breaking way to the upside outside of its weekly range. This is telling you, hey, I need to consolidate here, or I'm going to see something ballistic happen. Microsoft doing a similar thing, coming outside of its range or coming up to test it, possibly. Google outside of its range this week. So you have a lot of stuff saying, hey, we're kind of tapped out while NVIDIA's struggling to cross here. Doesn't mean we can't see a rotation into NVIDIA. We see that cross, we can see positivity, but it's just like good to keep in mind to watch the entire thing, just so you can get little things like little cookies like Meta and stuff. AMD not looking good if it turns down on the 30. Very, very good assessment there. I would say the 2-hour crossing over would be huge, but the 30 minutes, the first step. Look at that, curling over, negative territory. This is the recipe for us to break down. So I would just say if we want to not create any kind of structure here, you're more so in a range, right? You're more so in this range. You got to break out to the upside, fake out to the downside. I think if you start to break below 174.30, 174, that would be not a great sign for AMD going forward. SMCI, this one too, had good structure, right? We're seeing this kind of consolidate sideways here in a wedge. We're seeing the 2-hour positive territory. If it just curls up, we could see positivity. You'd say, hey, maybe we see positivity. I would say if we see that, maybe some stuff sells off. We see a rotation here. But at this point, it's not seeing that strength come in while other stocks are hitting outside of their range. And we're seeing them start to wick out a little bit here. Microsoft heading upward, not fully getting there. Maybe this one goes up a little bit. We see a divergence there. Google dropping off pretty good here. 2-hour divergence. Remember, this is a great little trade here. If we just see some kind of breakdown to here, well, maybe we can start to head upward. Other ones being Meta. And then you could say other things as far as today goes. SPY outside of its range, coming back down. Q's not able to break through that level. But if it remains higher, right, if it comes down to here, bases out like this, we can see that turn back up. So we're still going to be paying attention to upside here. So AMD is probably one to watch a little bit closer. I'd say if this 2-hour crosses over, that's probably not a good thing. 2 hours are, like I said, a lot of time is built into these 2 hours, right? 2 hours, not just like 5 minutes. So if this crosses down, you have to pay attention to it. Breaks through this low, make a new one. Good morning, Frank. How you doing? Now? Oh, God. I love looking at some crazy ones. Wait. Now shot up this morning over $10 a share. This one's been struggling, kind of just some crazier price action, but you notice every 2-hour you can really rip, see some rips higher. One thing I would do with now right here is going like this, draw myself a little line here, and then look at this. We're probably getting some kind of consolidation at this level. If we're able to break through where we're at right now, good sign. Maybe we see a positive move. Bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. There's no sniffing. Salutations, Gabo. Damn it, AMD. Yeah, everything else seems very positive. AMD and NVIDIA struggling a little. Apple and Tesla as well, not doing the best. IWM, we can take a look at this. Remember, this one would be good too. If this 2-hour can just roll up, you'd get a nice little divergence up here. See that roll down, negative territory. Took both call and put option on Google. And looks like the puts might be paying for you right now, right? Looks like that might be paying at this moment. So 2-hour did confirm back in this area. We notified you of that. Looked for that move upward. We got that actually. We got another move outside the range. Another little entry point if you wanted on the 30-minute. Boom, that heads down. So actually a solid little trade here, right? Going from 156 down to 154. A few more points here and you're in business, right? Just a few more points, you're probably making pretty good money there. Oh gosh, baby girl crying. You're good. Apple finally seeing that curl up now. So maybe I was a little early to get out of this, but my other ones I can pay attention. Meta's starting to wick out. That still has some upside there. Google looks pretty good. What's Amazon doing? Yeah, it's holding higher, but it left behind a gap. Maybe we'll fill that tomorrow with some bad news. We'll have to see. Remember, we do get what's the two pieces of data tomorrow? Is it not? It's non-farm payrolls and unemployment. So tomorrow we do get non-farm payrolls. Previously came in at 275K. Consensus on this supposed to be 200K and 200K. We'll have to see the market reaction to that. She got shots and she's been sick ever since. Unemployment rate here, 3.9. Consensus and forecast on that, 3.9, 3.9. So the previous was 3.9. If we stick at 3.9, people might just say, hey, we're still under 4%. They might see that as good news. Remember, people can turn almost anything into good news out there. Pull up my weekly ranges here. Is TLT a solid swing in your opinion? I mean, the only reason I got out of this is because I made money very early and I'm trading it. I'm still holding this for the long term down at 82.50. This 2 hour can curl up. I think that'd be a good sign. You just got to be careful with TLT going into tomorrow because, you know, the yields react based on data probably the most. So if we get a piece of data that says the yields need to go higher tomorrow, well, there you go. You're going to see the TLT drop off. So what I want to pay attention to, my entry point was down here, right? I entered down in this area. See that curl up. Now we're coming up into this point here. Well, what if we're at that center line and we just see that curl over and we get a 30-minute divergence here? That's a little more solid. And then we see that back off. So there could be a trade setup in the future. But if we see that as good news, then you can just watch the 2 hour curl up, positive territory, see if it can get there. But you have to say, you have to break through this to go positive. We have CPI and things like that. So maybe this wants to build up and then CPI turns you down. You know, you just have to really be trading like the water. Look for the 30-minute stuff. Play your 2 hour, take your money. But from this area, it looks good. You have 2 hour divergence. You can lead to this crossing up. You have a daily. Daily, that looks like it could cross up, so maybe it wants to consolidate before CPI with a 30-minute divergence, right? And then we see that head upward. Maybe it just wants to consolidate this way and keep heading up, right? I just made good money on the trade, so I'm already out. I'm not trying to get rich off this or anything. Just trying to add to the portfolio, you know? Add a little bit of cash. Nvidia better go, or I'm going to explode. Yeah, that's why I got out of my Nvidia play. It's not like impossible at this point. You're getting another green bar here, right? So it's not impossible. It's just it starts to get less and less likely to go up by the end of the week. So still could see that big reaction. I just would say this too. You have data coming out tomorrow. So if this doesn't make any kind of upward move before tomorrow, well, you might want to consider taking something off the table just because that data in the morning can literally rip this down. Oil, if oil's ripping higher as well, oil and gold just ripping, that means that inflation is still here at this point. So you can look at oil and things like that, look at a daily chart and just say, what did we do in the month of March, right? March. You want to see what it did in the month of March. Well, from March 1st, we were at this level. Now we're building up higher. So the potential for inflation to come in a little hotter is still there. And you're seeing gold kind of say that too. You're seeing a lot of hedging going on. Data coming out pre-market or at the open. That data comes out at before the open. So an hour before open, we will get non-farm payrolls and unemployment. Another reason just to be a little bit cautious. If you're making money, you know, tomorrow would be a day where you'd say, yeah, I could see that upside. Is it worth me to risk a bunch of money tomorrow? Maybe not. Maybe I just take smaller positions. And that's just my opinion. I mean, if you want to stay, you know, risk averse and out of a lot of the mess, well, then these data drops are going to do that, and you're seeing a lot of these things looking like they want to top out. You have divergence possibly forming on Amazon. Literally tomorrow could produce unemployment numbers that, you know, somehow cause the market to go down. And you just, if you don't want to be any part of that, you want to wait for a better trade setup, be patient, right? Go enjoy your day. Go enjoy your Friday. Come back once the direction is decided if we go into a negative trend, and then you can look for divergences and get bounces and take trades that way, like we do in the course that's down in the description. That's overall what the strategy is doing. It's looking for the volatility to be higher in order to, you know, catch those bigger swings, catch those bigger bounces and things like that. All right, I'm going to say bye to baby girl real quick. I'm going to go take the carrier out and stuff like that. So I'm going to leave you guys here on the Qs for just a moment, seeing if we can consolidate at this level. That would be a good sign, by the way, if you consolidate up here, good sign to head higher. So I'll just leave you guys on the Qs for just a brief moment here, and I'll be right back. And we're back. Oh, gotta turn the camera off. Ashimara never touching NVIDIA. Yeah, I've tried to take some plays on NVIDIA lately. They just take too much time to happen, right? They take too much time. Like here, 2 hour, I think, was crossing up. Looked like it was going to cross up positive territory, right? So I know throughout here we had 30-minute crossings, and it's just 8 time, 8 time, 8 time. So I'm just like, all right, in order to catch this move, you got to be pretty spot on with the timing. That's why I'd say I really would wait for confirmations. Took a little fun play here, but I only lost like 5. I think it was like 5 or 10%. So I'm like, I'll just do that. Take my 100% somewhere else. Be good. Dell's looking good. We can go look at Dell. We haven't looked at that before, actually. And I wanted to look at Intel as well. So 2 hour, it's a little spread out there, but you see the daily divergence form. This is what I'm saying. Like, a lot of stocks are telling you momentum could die out here. Now, this hasn't confirmed. This can just keep going, right? It can keep going. But once this does confirm, what if it does confirm right away and that heads down? So I just want to be, I'd be like, this is risky. I'm not going to try anything here. If I go at this point, you'd look at a 4-hour, you see the 4-hour divergence, 4-hour divergence. So if this curls down, good shot you're going to take this out, maybe head towards that gap on Dell. Intel. This is one that was heading down a little bit. Now the 4-hour, not something I was paying attention to. Where's that 2-hour? See, 2-hour divergence could form here, but you don't have it on the RSI. So this thing might just keep going negative. So what we want to look for Intel might be, hey, a build up to the center line, one more crossing down. Or maybe this is just going to be a big move down. Let's look where the daily's at if we're crossing below some moving averages. Look at that. We have the 200 below us. So you could get a reaction here off the 200. Where did we hold up? A few times here, 200, 200, 200 there. So a couple times on the 200. Is this one going to hold? Well, you're negative territory. So if it doesn't hold, you're probably going to get a big move down here, maybe even down to like $32, $33. I'm saying it's tough to do right now, but that's why the trading setups we're giving, Apple, it looks like a good one still. I know I got out of this, but it still looks good if this can go positive. Right, the 30-minute divergence here telling you now Apple's finally making that move. So yeah, Nvidia's just been kind of wonky lately. It has not been seeing strength, so maybe the rotation deal is just tough for Nvidia right now. It very well could be that that's the case, Isn't she? Oh, nope, no singing, no singing. Nope, not happening. Oof, that doesn't look very good. This 30-minute building up towards the center line on the Dow, just kind of rejecting that base for the double top here. So rejecting inside that liquidity in that base, not a good sign. If you just roll over negative territory, Dow could be heading down. SPY, everything looks pretty similar, but this stuff's holding higher. You notice it's holding higher. It's not like retesting this area like the Dow is. The Dow's technically retesting in here, but you do have that difference between the Dow right now. So the Dow's sitting at this level, the SPY going up a little higher. Qs, you want to look, similar thing, right? The Dow testing this level, the Qs heading up a little bit higher. This is where you want that consolidation, right? This is that neckline. See this come like this. We get a head and shoulders. It can go up from here. So if the 30-minute crosses over now, it's positive territory. Good shot, actually, of this being that lower or higher low. So if we see some consolidative move here and then head upward, but if this curls and goes negative, right, that would take some time. We'd probably be dipping down a little too low. Levi probably is. Yeah, I would say that's look at it on the daily scale here. Wow, what a move. That is crazy. What a move here. Remember, when we do get well outside of those Bollinger Bands, like this thing could just go ballistic, but most of the time you do consolidate, try to dip down and at least test that 5-day moving average, or you at least move sideways, maybe a little bit down for a few days and allow that 5-day to catch up, right? So at this point, if you're still bullish on this, I would look for a reaction off that 5-day moving average or off the 20 coming up. Good old earnings. Yeah, don't play with those earnings. Soon I'll be taking some probably time off from trading because so many earnings are going to come out. Or I'll just hold longer plays or take a different kind of spread, something, maybe buy puts and calls the day before or something like that. Yeah, I think we're experiencing the last leg up, but I'm not saying it has to be the last leg up. I think we are. I really do, how things are looking with the yields and things like that, but this could be a last leg up for quite some time, right? So we could do this, we could do this, then CPI is good news, then we break out to the upside, then we consolidate, then we head higher. This could go all the way through the whole month of April. which is where I'll use my monthly expected moves. But as of right now, Meta and a lot of stocks are heading up towards their monthly expected moves. They're heading towards them. They're not at them yet. Microsoft has 20 points left. Meta has 20 points left, right? AMD has a little bit of room up. Nvidia hasn't hit 1,000 yet. Amazon has a few points left. So I'm not saying there can't be more positivity. I just think it'll take some time. It would be good to have structure up here to head higher at this point. That's what I've been asking for this whole run, right? Get some actual structure to head higher. That's what's happening, because back here, it's just curl up, positive territory, curl up, positive territory. There's no real good structure throughout this move. I mean, I guess this pullback here was pretty good, right? Divergence, pulled back, tested in between the, or tested off the 20 here. This is that test of the 20, and then that ripped to the upside. So you could trade a lot more simply. No real big structure here, just curl up, positive territory, get an ABC move, see how that consolidates down. But now you're seeing some possible trade setups with head and shoulders and things like that. So I think this could take some time if we wanted to do something like this, and then we just extend upward. You have to be open to that, as the 2 hour looks like it might cross. Every time the 2 hours crossed after touching that 20-day moving average, we have seen a bullish move. AMD down to 1% now. Nvidia still not seeing that strength come in. Meta not able to fully wick out like we did last time, right? Not like we did last time. And weirdly enough, you do have a slight divergence up in this area. You still have it on the MACD across the board, but you have it on the RSI from this point here and this point here. You actually have a flatness. So there's a good chance here that we see this fade. Remember, Meta's well outside of it, so you could see that craziness continue. This is that 32% chance to see something crazy. We're above it. We gap higher. That is what happens. You do have a 68% chance that fades, but as you get further and further away from it, it's less and less likely, I'd say. Bull trap. That's what I'm thinking, Frenchie. I'm thinking that, and the only thing that's keeping me from saying it definitely is the structure that we're creating. We're curling up positive territory. The only reason I think it's a trap is because of so many things outside of their weekly range as of today, right before Friday, right before a big piece of news. Apple would have been a good swing trade. Yeah, this is what we put out on Patreon a little while back. We said, you know, divergences down here. All right, these ones, what do you do? Well, if it doesn't play out, curls over on the 30-minute, look for that point again down here. We can see that going forward. So right now you're seeing across the way this 30-minute here. And I believe the 15 looked pretty good, but we were overall trying to play some divergence plays here. We get a little pop, but you see that drop back down, negative territory. We are out. We see it keep dropping down negative, keep dropping down negative, and then we see the big divergence across the way here. Actually, I think it's on the hourly. It looks pretty good, right? Look at that divergence here on the hourly with this point down here, showing that green bar. You get into this move, boom, consolidation, boom. Will this hold? Well, I think it has a good shot to come up to this area. So if we're going to see it head higher, left head, right shoulder is going to form. This is your line up here. We're going to go like this, 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 and then probably head higher, unless we get a gap higher or something like that. But good structure here for Apple. Not positive yet, right? So pay attention to that. 30-minute just now going positive. The last time it went positive, it ripped away right away. So look for if it wants to curl down. This could be short-lived. As the Qs are up where they're expected, as the SPY up where we expect, and we could see that just keep dropping off. And Nvidia, like I said, it just keeps curling down, negative territory. You just got to pay attention to any kind of divergence that forms here, as you did cross, right? We crossed right here. Okay, we still haven't really gone green. Yeah, we haven't gone green yet. It tried to for a moment there, but now we see that come down like this. So maybe we want to get a full reaction down to this area before we see that happen. But there is a shot here that we're just going to, the 2 hours telling you, hey, you know, I'm negative. I'm not seeing strength to curl up. It might just make another move down. We have to pay attention to that. So maybe we move down to 840, see a reaction up, and then we get that rejection again. That's definitely possible. You just want to pay attention which way this thing actually decides to go. If you cross up on the 2 hour, good sign. If you cross down on the 30-minute, look for more weakness, right? Look for big weakness here. If it's just a little bit, you can create that divergence here, and then you'll have that triple across the way. It might be that's the time to actually get in. Like I said, NVIDIA right now, it can go up, it can go down, you can see your money ripped away really fast, so it's very important to time and plan out what you're going to do. So that's what I'm doing as of right now. I see a 30-minute drop down, I see that divergence, I see it confirm, then I'm going to go, okay, this can make a move maybe up to 950. Meta starting to fade this move just a little bit here. Microsoft not able to bust through this high. That's interesting. And Google still just dropping off. About to go negative on the 30-minute. Give it 1 second, Mark. I gotta be able to see. Can you check the G? Remember, on my end, I have a little heart right there. Gold. Oh, yeah. We looked at gold. This thing just going ballistic. This is telling you people are hedging against inflation right now, is what I would say. Hedge against inflation. You got a big 2-hour flatness of the MACD, flatness of the RSI. These are huge moves. As far as it goes, you can look at like a daily chart. There's no divergences on the MACD, but you do have it on the RSI. So if you were able to catch this consolidation, you just play this like a swing trader. Well, guess what? You'd be into this move right around 186.40. We'd be probably out of this move somewhere around this area here. 200, I think, was a good area. You expect a good move because we're breaking out of all this stuff. So 200, good area to hit that sell button. Now we base out again. Boom, you're back into this move, maybe a 203, and now you're like, okay, we're outside the Bollinger Band again. We might have a divergence on the RSI. Let me just get out of that move for a little bit. Not saying it can't go higher, right? We're not really dealing with the inflation problem, Jerome Powell. So this thing can just base out if people see a good piece of news that don't lead to inflation, and then see that make another move higher. So you can keep swing trading this, right? Just keep swinging it. But eventually, you know, the trend's your friend. Well, who says that? I can't remember who said that, but the trend is your friend till the end. I think a lot of people say that. If this thing does curl down, well, we have little bumps in the road, but we can start to head down towards this liquidity zone down here. So this is a solid move, though. Really, really good move from gold. Does it look like it's going to fade now? It's hard to say. This is a ballistic move. It's just a lot of... Right, you could have said divergence right here and got yourself in and then, you know, been like, oh, it curled down. All right, this could have been a moment where it curls down. All right, didn't go negative, cross back up, positive territory. I'm back in. Boom, I'm back in this move. That's kind of how I do things. I'm like, all right, let me pay attention to this point. If this does reverse here, it's probably reversing with a big move. Doesn't go negative, so I immediately flip. Once it goes green here, boom, there's your buy signal right in there, 201. Play that upside. SMCI fading. Mara might want to curl up, but kind of flaggy down there. We'll have to see what happens with that. Netflix giving you another divergence here. Look at this. This is a great divergence here. Across the board, you have a bunch of them. 30 minutes going to be a little bit more spread out, right? Not look as good, but 2-hour looks pretty good there. Daily looks like it could curl up and go positive, but top of the Bollinger, not the best looking bar right now. Very overextended for quite some time. A lot of divergences across the way. Netflix look like it's telling you my momentum is dead, which is very worrisome when you're trying to take NVIDIA calls or something like that. Google telling you, hey, my momentum's dying out pretty quick, right? Divergence up here. Microsoft telling you, hey, I'm definitely dying out quick here. Amazon telling you a similar thing. Like, everything's telling you my momentum is just cooked. Well, let's see what volatility is doing. Maybe we could find a little point where volatility is going to come back in. Why did I sound kind of sexy there? My bad. The 30-minute, we could get some kind of reaction here. It's getting very, very deep here. But that can continue for some time, right? So we can see that continue. Mainly what I want to pay attention to is a 2-hour. You notice what I said yesterday is starting to play out, right? We're curling down. I think we're going to come down towards the center line. I think we're going to get to this area and maybe curl back up, and we might just see this go boom, boom, break out again. You know, to say puts now, you'd want to be looking for those entries. If you're doing intraday, you could say, you know, we came outside of the range, take a position here. That's kind of what I'm doing on Meta. So because this came out of its range on the daily, Meta's outside of it on the weekly, I can take a little play on Meta early just to see if that plays out, right? So that's what I'm doing overall, but this is where you could see that fade back down. You mainly play like the center of the zone here. But if we would consolidate sideways here, that actually would be a good sign that we're maybe going to see a break to the upside. So if it were me, I'd be paying attention to a 30-minute. If I see that roll over, we can probably expect some negativity into tomorrow. So if this fully rolls over and goes negative, yeah, we're probably going to see a negative reaction tomorrow. And maybe we do something like that going on into next week. But we'll see, just because you do have the structure to head up. So you have to be very trading like what? We have to be very adaptive in this market. We have to be like, okay, I see the structure to head down. If that curls down, we could test lower levels. But if that starts to base out and curl back up, positive territory, well, then this is probably that right shoulder. So I need to flip the script. You just have to be willing to really switch back and forth very quickly. We're like politicians. We're flip-floppers. Do you understand? We're flip-floppers. Oh, Tebow, I see you. Bunch of 30-minute divergences. You're looking for a time to scale into a position. It's throughout these for hedging, right? 2 hour giving you a divergence at the same time. This actually looks like a great little trade setup as of right now. Let's see if the daily gives you it as well. Boom, daily about to create a little divergence. You have some on the RSI down there, some flatness. So you don't necessarily have a good daily divergence here, but look at that move. This hasn't really digested. There's not even a reaction down to the 50. So you could say, hey, maybe all these this 2 hour divergence here will lead to some kind of negative trend to go test the 50. Not saying it has to crash, right? Very well could with how things are behaving right now. Very well could. But this divergence here, maybe we get a reaction down. We see something like 192 tested, right? That would be a good point to test at this point to then head higher. So what you want to see, does this confirm? Okay, I have an entry point. Where's my exit? Maybe around that 50. We can go look where that's at and then see if this goes negative. If it rolls negative, then you have that opportunity for this bounce to just be just that, a little dead cat bounce, and then we consolidate and head lower. So really pay attention how, if this curls over and if it goes negative, this could be a topping for PGR, for progressive. And the Q is able to confirm that move higher as of now on the 2 hour, but the spies are telling you, wait, hold my beer. Let's see if the Qs are. Yep, they're still confirming the move. Is that going to fade? But the 2 hour on the SPY not confirming just yet. How's everyone's day going? Do we have any good trades out there? I know some people are a little faked out, but if we're open to everything, we're flip-flopping, we should be good. Paracosm, a little bit of a rougher day. That's all right. You're going to have the rough days too. Remember we said don't get cocky. What you need to do is stop sending frowny faces. Stop trying to, and I'm saying this from like a good heart. Don't be so negative on yourself. This happens to everyone. I experienced a little loss today, but my other trade made up for it significantly. So don't beat yourself up. Don't be complaining. Just be like, okay, this is what I did wrong. Now I'm going to not do that next time. Let's look for the next trade setup. You have trade setups out there. You really do. I mean, when things are hitting that daily range early on in the day, you have trades to take, right? So like me taking Meta, me taking Amazon. Both of these not looking strong anymore. I mean, this still looks good, right? I'm not saying it doesn't look, it's still bullish overall, but you have an opportunity for that pullback to come today. So I'm going to take a little trade on this, as we do have a bunch of divergences. We're hitting outside of weekly expected moves like Meta. This is when I said I'm going to pay attention to a 2 hour divergence up here. So I'm going to take a little trade on this as we're well outside of that weekly expected move. Because GE, except for GEV, it's being bearish, but the other GE companies doing well for me. Well, that's good, Craig. I'm glad to hear that. And now's rocking for you too. Now, I mean, wait, wasn't that like the 10% move up this morning? It's a good move. It really is. See, in TLT, this is why I get out of this stuff, because we have that data coming out tomorrow. If this just curls down, we can make another point of reference. One good thing is you tapered a little bit. So if we get one more move down, create a divergence. I'm pretty convinced on that. It's doubled since then. Damn, that's crazy. Let me go look at this thing. Oh, wait, I'm looking at the right one, right? It wasn't 10%. Was it 10%? It wasn't 10% higher today. It's 2.8. It was 10 points higher. 10 points higher, crossing up, positive territory. Watch this. 2 hour crossing up, positive territory. Boom. You can see that move if you want to get a measured move for this, right? I just like to take, I take it a little shorter. That way I know, hey, take profit earlier. Okay, your expected move, probably like 850. So something I would do is if that reaction happens quickly and I hit 815, 816, I'll be out of that move. That's just how I do things. I know that if this makes a rapid move up to 815 and the expected move's 850, I'm going to make plenty of money in this move. So good move higher here. Good consolidation. Something similar to Meta, actually. Meta here looking very, very similar, right? Getting that break to the upside, but look how that fades at the high. Okay, so this is something good. This is something good, Craig. Yeah, this is something good here that you can watch. See how the measured move is going to take me above this high? So the measured move is going to take me all the way up to 550. Well, what do I know about Meta? Well, I know that the monthly expected move is up in this area. So in order for us to get there, that would be all the options market expects for Meta. What, 5 days into the month if we hit that tomorrow? So what do I want to do? Well, I might just want to play the previous high. I can make plenty of money on this move. Boom, hits the high, hit that sell button. Look at that wicking coming in. So that's why I don't play expected moves. I look for how much I've made and if they're at a point where we could see that resistance come in. Point of resistance, the high. Point of resistance, the high. Good move, very quickly. Crossed up 2 hour Meta. Good trade here. Seeing that cross up on the 2 hour. Expected move way up here. So I'm going to play this high because it happened very quickly. Boom, I take profit. And you can even do stuff like, sell half. That way you're just playing with house money. Thursday, my contracts were down to 0.07 each. I had to hold expire today. I woke up to them at 30 with each. It all takes a few trades to get the energy back, bro. It's true. It's true. And, hopefully sometimes you got to get lucky and, you'll experience one of those times where you think something's going to happen. That's why earnings is such a bad thing to trade. You think something's going to happen, it rips the other way. You buy something for, say, 75 cents, and then it goes down to 10 cents the next day, and you're just like, crap. And you want to just like maybe look at the structure and see if you can find a bounce to get out of to take a lesser of a loss. But that stuff happens. It happened to me more around earnings and things like that. That's why you'll see me say all the time, I don't mess with earnings. Dell was good. Dell looked like a good move there. Your daily, weekly, and monthly ranges, Lucas, are gold. Thank you for these. You are welcome, John. I hope that I just hope that they're really, really helpful. You see these dailies coming in handy today. And I'm just saying, like, if you really like them or the SPY and the Qs, you might want to look for them for the individual stocks because you're going to catch things. You're going to catch things like Google, right? We're going to add this to it once we get, I think we need like 13 more members now. So if you're one of those 13 people who are thinking about joining the Patreon, give it a whirl, okay? Give it a whirl. $7. We give you some trade setups. We give some explanation in there, but a lot of the time now I'm going to be doing at least one video a week showing you trade setups in video form on Patreon. I feel like that's more helpful. We're actually talking about it. You get to hear my opinion on it, but those ranges very, very handy for individual stocks. Look at Google. Where did it head to? Well, it headed to that weekly expected move, the upside there. So, boom, we see that happen. I might just start posting these to Patreon after this week. I don't want my Patreon members to miss out. And they're the best learning experience. I learned so much yesterday. Hey, that's great. That's fantastic. Fantastic. That's why the course is there. That's why we have Patreon. It's overall just to give you guys more tools, help you learn. Make all of us better traders. I think you guys were not sure how to find the divergences. The divergences are very simple. Literally, you just want to pull up, like, start off with a daily. Get good at pointing them out on a daily scale. You can even go through Apple. right? So something you can do with Apple is just go back through the chart for quite some time and find those divergences, okay? So one very obvious one, find the very obvious ones. Get good at finding the very obvious ones, right? And if you're looking for divergences, I've done it for a long time. Your best charts are going to be the daily, the 2-hour, and the 30-minute. Because what you'll notice throughout this move, if I go into it, there was a 2-hour divergence here, there's a 2-hour divergence here, and I don't think there was a 2-hour here, but there was a 30-minute here at the same time as all these daily divergences were playing out. And that 2-hour cross positive, there's your entry, boom, you see that big move. If you can just don't try to make it harder than it is. Literally just find little areas like this, find this. That's all you have to do. What's your thoughts on shorting Netflix? I think it's if you take a longer position. Remember, this stuff can play out for quite some time, right? We have the daily that could, be moving upward. Now, the thing about Netflix, very, very tight on the MACD. You have to be aware if there's some kind of pop up and then drop, because if this MACD curls up, you do have a little bit of room since that last divergence. So you have a few days where this could go up. But I would just say this, got it, thanks, class was great. Hey, thank you, Solarific, I really appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoyed the course. The course is still down there, guys. It's probably one of the best, most efficient courses, according to a lot of my friends, and I might see if some people like Dave or anyone that took it could write a quick review or something that I could share with you guys, because it's been going really well for people. More Pando and people like that really taking the trade like water, take profit early, that kind of thing to heart. Which is in the course. It's very, very good. But Netflix here, you can see a few days of positivity. So what I would really want to do for myself is maybe you want to say, hey, Lucas, if I join Patreon, will you give me the Netflix range for next week? And I'll be like, yeah, sure. Here's the Netflix range for next week. And we can do that. I spent a bunch of time making that thing on Excel, right? Or on Google Sheets, where now I just have to plug in certain stocks, plug in their info, and then it immediately gives me that weekly expected move, which is really cool. So if you guys want, remember, we're adding one stock to Google with Google and Microsoft to those ranges. Boom, we could add, Netflix to here. So something on Netflix to pay attention to. Look at the 2-hour here. Look at the 2-hour here, making another little point of divergence across the way here, getting that steep divergence right by negative territory. Okay, negative territory, very important for this move. So if we want to head up from here, this doesn't want to go negative. I'm going to tell you that right now. I don't think this 2-hour wants to go negative here because you have the potential for a double top. So what I would say from here is, here's your cup. Maybe there's a handle. If you see that, keep curling up, break through this high, you can say, okay, let me get out of a short position. Let me wait for another point of reference in the future to enter that position. That's what I would say about Netflix. But good area here. You're at the tops. Not a bad place to hedge against it. Class helps you see how, rather than hope some YouTuber gives you the stock choices, you keep the emotion in check, balanced against the reasons to trade. Yeah, so the reasons to trade portion in the course is very, very important. So you can see I'm kind of doing it right in front of you. I don't want to do all of it because I want the people who took the course and gave their hard-earned money for it to really be benefiting from it. But the overall thing I would tell you is create those things, right? Make sure that the reasons to take a trade are here. Potential double top, right? Potential double top. If this curls and goes negative, I have another reason to take a trade, right? You want multiple reasons to take a trade before getting it. And then at the same time, I would even add to that and say, be open to the negative side. One of the best things you can do in psychology, right? If you're trying to change your life, you should imagine yourself in the worst scenario, and then you should imagine yourself in the best scenario. That way you have something to run from and something to run to. So what would you say? Well, something to run to would be a double top up here. If we start to see that curl over and go negative, I can hold that a little longer, right? See it break through this low. But what am I running from? I'm running from any upside. So if this bases out and curls up and breaks through this high, I'd have to say, uh-oh, upside might be coming. So I want to run away from that, aka hit my sell button and wait for the next opportunity. So that's how I would say it. Amazon and Google look like they want to sell off. Google hitting that upside weekly range, right? Little 30-minute divergence. There's actually a little tiny 30-minute divergence up here screaming double top. You have 2-hour divergence at the same time, and you have the potential for a daily divergence to confirm here as well. So if you've taken the course, you'll know what this setup is, what I call it, and it's very, very good setup. Doesn't mean we can't see it extend for a little bit of time, but all you have to do is pretty much pay attention to a 30 minutes, see if that thing can go negative. So if this goes negative here, that would be a bad sign. But if we continue to consolidate without breaking through these lows, well, you could see one more pop higher. What would that do for you? Well, you might get something like this to happen, get that divergence in the future. So now you could say, I'm going to take this. It looks good. We have that divergence here on the double top, but it's a little bit thin. So I want to pay attention to that. But I have a 2-hour divergence that's confirmed as well. That's pretty confident. If I start to break above this high, maybe I say this is what I want to run from. I want to run from any upside. Therefore, boom, crosses to the upside. And thank you so much, Wiggling Chai, for the subscription there. Appreciate you being here, bud. Now, if this breaks this high, you could say, hey, there's upside now. We built up liquidity in here. There's going to be upside. Let me get out of this position, look for that trade in the future. Divergence forms here. Now you're in again, right by negative territory. Boom, you take that, starts to head down. That's overall the most crashy course. Not saying we're crashing, I'm saying it's like a crash course in 5 minutes of a lot of, well, a big part of what we do on the course, but understanding the MACD and stuff like that is very, very important. What was the other one you said? It was Google and Amazon. Amazon's another one, similar story. Right, similar story. We see divergences across the way here, even a divergence on the RSI and the nearest price action. So this is why I'm actually taking Amazon, seeing if we can see a little bit of downside here, the 2-hour. All I have to do here is see if that makes a downward move. If this makes a downward move and confirms, I'd say, okay, maybe this is the moment. If that curls back up, I say that's what I'm running from. I'm running from any upside at that point. So I'm taking a little bit of a chance here with Amazon. I would say that. I don't necessarily have the confirmations yet, but as we've built up for quite some time, daily, you could be creating that divergence. It has a couple days for that positivity, right? This is why people ask about my buy signals on the indicator here. I don't utilize those very often because they'll give you moments like this where you're buying way up here. If you were buying this even as a swing trader, you'd maybe buy right here and then be thinking about taking some profit at this point. Creating a divergence on the daily while you have divergences on the 2-hour, while you have that little divergence on the RSI on the 30-minute could mean this is a bad area to invest in Amazon. Mo, SPY 250, 5250. Hopefully you don't mind me telling him, Lucas. No. I do not mind. Oh, I'm sorry. Someone asked for the ranges. Who was asking for the ranges on the SPY? I'm sorry about that. The ranges for the SPY for the week are 52, 5,000, 529.50 to the upside, 516.64 to the downside. Look at that touch, that expected move there. Very, very good sign. This is why we pay attention when it touches very early on in the week, and a lot of people play the middle of the range. A lot of people use these ranges. If they get there early, they just take calls. Look for a move to the middle of the range, sell. That's how a lot of people use them. It's not how I use them, but once you have these weekly ranges, a little bit of knowledge, you can do things like that. So you could say, where's my entry? When the 30-minute crosses, okay, I take it here, I play the middle of the range, boom, I see a move from 518.90 all the way up to 523.50. I'm out of that move by that point. And then you can also do this, right? We take this down here. What do? We can use those daily expected moves to take profit, right? So now the daily expected move helping you out here, saying, hey, here's the move. Now we have the potential to fade. But if this just consolidates, that's a very good sign for the stock market, to be honest. Just be caught, guys. There's so much going on. Like Apple's still not seeing a bunch of strength here. I bet you have a 5-minute divergence here too forming. Look at that, 5-minute divergence forming. I want to see if it proves itself on a little bit higher chart, a 15-minute divergence on Apple. Okay, so be cautious with this one. This is something that can break down. You're seeing it. It's pretty flaggy at this point. Just watch out if this goes negative. Okay, watch out if this thing goes negative. I might even update some people on Patreon real quick just to show how Apple's going negative here. Or it could. This is something you have to be open to if you're in this trade. Nope, caps lock. Thank you to our new Patreon members. I'm seeing a couple more trickle in as of this morning. That is awesome. I appreciate you guys, and I think it will be very helpful for you. We're going to be giving some trade setups. Maybe today we'll do a little video on there. just because we're seeing some stuff that we probably need to talk about at least, and then we can give you those potential things going on. So yeah, I do like to keep people aware of times where a trade could be not going the best way, right? So we just want to pay attention. The 2 hour, able to curl up. But we just want to update people pretty regularly. Like we said, this goes out to the people out there. Looks like we need about 18. Let's look how many we got here. Only need about 13 more. 13 more, and we can start to put out those other ones. Most likely on Sunday, guys, I'm going to start giving Google. We're going to take it off of YouTube. Most likely on Sunday, we're going to start giving out Google and Microsoft, and then we have to decide on the last stock. This still looks good. It's just you have to pay attention to these 15-minute divergences at this point, because this does look a little bit flaggy still in this area, right? So we see this kind of going this way. Maybe want to chop out that there, and then we can maybe clone that and see if it adds up to anything. All right, well, look at this. We do have a little bit of structure here, right? We gapped below this area. We tested this area. We failed to test it here by just a little bit. This could just roll down. What does that tell me to do? Look at my 30-minute rolling over, right? Look at this 30-minute. If it just rolls over, we can take out this low. Maybe we want to retest before heading higher before CPI. So there's potential here for a lot to go down, to be honest. But if that 2 hour can see that strength, you know, honestly, in this Apple move, I actually did not lose, right? I made like 20% or something on this move still. So if you get those good entries, right, enter down in this area, look at that. If you just have the balls to enter down in here like I did, boom, that divergence plays out, goes positive. Now we see 15-minute divergence. I say, let me take profit here, take my 20%. I did that this morning, though, on this wick right up in here. I think we opened up somewhere in this area, saw a tiny push. I took my 20% right around there, actually. We try to keep you pretty updated on Patreon. I know I'm a busy guy. I know, but I try my best. A few minutes ago, Bloomberg News, they were saying about very bearish divergence on NASDAQ 100. Can you please take a look? I think she was looking at a daily chart. Well, we can just look at the cues for that and show you. We've shown this a few times, right? The daily, you see these divergences across the way. We can just do it on the cues real quick. You'll just notice that we do have those divergences across the board here, right? The big one that we want to talk about, I believe it's on the weekly, right? So we want to pay attention to this because if this curls over, you have that divergence right here. You have a flatness of the MACD. You have flatness even down a little bit on the RSI. And then what you want to look at there is say, hey, a monthly, right? We went over that over the weekend, just showing you a monthly chart here. It does not look pretty. One thing that you could have used to know that the market is not going to be good for a long time was actually Apple seeing extreme weakness, right? Getting a double top. We talked about this way back. This weekly double top, we said if this confirms, watch out because we could break through this level. Apple told us a long time ago with this bar right here, actually, this green bar, told us, hey, there's weakness here, gets a pop, starts to drop down. The thing about Apple that's very, very bearish is this monthly confirmed. So you're looking for Apple to actually see way lower prices here because of this monthly crossing over. Doesn't mean we can't get some kind of reaction up and then see that cross back down, but as of right now, not looking pretty. Weekly, the 5 crossing the 20 here. So on this bar right here, we actually got the weekly to cross, and you know then that you're going to possibly go to bottom Bollinger. Boom, good percentage chance to go to bottom Bollinger from that move right there. Tesla buying some space, right? What does on the weekly scale? What do we like to do still, even when we touch bottom? We like to retest the 5, retest the 5. That could be all this is doing. I still think 154.78 would be solid for Tesla. Yeah, hopefully that was helpful, Uniworld. 10 minutes into the open, nice profit. I just bought a few meta puts when it was at 23.70. Yeah. That's pretty solid. So hopefully you're using those weekly expected moves to help you out there. Good sell-off yet to come. I mean, we went pretty crazy after close last night into overnight trading. You're truly the best. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Palantir. Yeah, we can look at Palantir in a sec. Close night, overnight. Seems it's still good sell-off. I think there's still a good... I mean, if anything, it's like the Teslas and the Apples telling you, like, we already had our sell-off. Now other stuff needs to have theirs. Amazon, NVIDIA, AMD, Meta... Like, all of these are crazy at this point. You'd expect some kind of consolidation, even down to the weekly 20 or something like that. 438 would be very reasonable. I joined Patreon. Thank you for joining Patreon, J-Dubs. Let's go look at Palantir real quick. We can look at Palantir on a weekly for a moment here. You're seeing divergence across the way here on the RSI. Not necessarily seeing that fully on the MACD, just some flatness there. And we are building back down towards the 20. So this is what I'm saying a lot of different stocks could do. Try to go retest that weekly 20. I think this is not a weekly range, by the way, just to be clear, just to make sure you guys know. That's not a range or anything. It's just a support level that I was marking off where I thought Palantir could go to. So if Palantir is going to see a breakdown from here, we said some kind of bounce could happen. So let's go down into a, first of all, let's talk about the daily. Daily, boom, we're kind of getting this. It's a big extended flag possibly, and we could get that reaction up. I wanted to be very clear about that. You know, positive territory, curl up on the MACD, break through this high, gonna go make a new one, test this one, maybe make a new high up here. First off, so that is the bullish thing. The bearish thing would be the 2 hour here is in negative territory. So if this just rolls over one more time, you're most likely setting up a head and shoulders. Okay, so the head and shoulders here would be, this was a false breakout. Now we're starting to head upward. We retake that almost immediately, and we head upward. What are we going to do? We might create this left head. What did we do? Well, it's a complex one, right? Maybe it's, this is all the left shoulder. This is the head. Maybe we go make this right shoulder fully here. Grab a bunch of liquidity. When you get an extra touch up like this, so this isn't necessarily your right shoulder, you test this level down here and you go create that right shoulder. Look how much liquidity will be up here. Look how much liquidity will be up here across the way. So you're most likely going to get a big move up if you cross through this high. You're going to get a big move down if you start to actually close below 2230. Jeremiah Williams, there's another guy, J Dubs, that joined the Patreon. Sorry, JW, did your message go away? I just see you said please. So something we can pay attention to in the near term. That was just a warning I put out onto Patreon. So Apple still has the opportunity. This is still positive. We get that good move, but as of right now, we're building some 15-minute divergence. So something we could watch for a little bit here for about 3 more minutes. We can watch this, and I might see if I can stay live for just a little bit longer today. Make sure we're all liking the stream, guys. Help me out. You know, it really does help the channel. It helps me out to like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. If you haven't already, just try to get in a habit of liking these live videos so more people can be informed about this. I do a lot of work on the side for all of this, and I'm going to try to put a little bit more into my nightly videos to make it a little more entertaining for you. See if we can get some more people on there. I think since I've done live video, it started to drop off a little bit, so that's okay, though. We like our live video. You guys are the ones that I really want to help out. You show up every single day, like, subscribe. You guys are awesome, but I got to figure out how to maybe make it a tiny bit more entertaining. So something we can pay attention to throughout today would be volatility creating any kind of divergence. 15 minutes showing a little bit here. Merchandise. Yeah, so I have positions on Amazon and Meta, but like I said, I'm a position guy, so I have those for like a month. So if I see an upward move, I can scale in. If I see a downward move, I can take profit early. I'm not trading any oil names. I don't think there's too much like important data. Like at least I would say important data. I would say you have Fed speakers later today. Export imports, of course, we're importing more than we're exporting. Initial jobless claims, probably the one you want to pay attention to. That actually increasing a little bit could be seen as positive news, right? Say inflation isn't happening. We need unemployment to tick up. So those jobless claims ticking up could tell you that unemployment might be ticking up, which we actually get tomorrow. TD1 Warrior, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for subscribing. So I don't see any real report. I think tomorrow you're going to have the more important data. Okay, so tomorrow be looking out for non-farm payrolls and unemployment. But the important part with that data tomorrow, make sure to pay attention to the reaction to the data. What's the probability of them going up? Well, what you want to do is just see what you can react to. So on the 30-minute here, this can scale up. What you would say is, let me pay attention to that weekly expected move. Where is Amazon's weekly expected move? On the Patreon here, we have a weekly expected move for Amazon somewhere around 185. Where are we at right now? We're at 180. We're almost at 185. Okay, so this is why I'm overall saying like, okay, let me start to take some. Overall, there's a lot of cash on the side, but I have some hedge plays, right? So I'm not doing a ton into these moves, right? I'm not digging that deep into it. I'm not trying to be like, hey, let me put, $10,000 behind one of these moves, one of these Amazon plays, one of these meta plays. I'm just like, hey, let me put some money behind it, but I keep a bunch of cash on the side just in case that move happens early on tomorrow. Get some big data, things like that. Amazon here, I'd say your upside is very limited tomorrow. Amazon, your upside's literally maybe like another 1.5, something like that. Meta, your upside is, kind of in no man's land right now. Your upside, you could just see this go ballistic, but the probability is you're getting less and less likely. Okay, I'd say you probably, I'd have to pull out the actual second standard deviation for this, but I'm going to say this is a 2 standard deviation move, which just tells you might have a 10% chance of more upside. You actually have probably a 90% chance for this to at least fade down to this area. You have a 68% chance for that to come all the way down into here by tomorrow close. So Meta, this going up from here is possible. It is possible, but this week you have a little bit less time. If you consolidate, then you have a better opportunity next week. Right? If you consolidate, then you could say, okay, now we're ending here. That range is going to be like this. Maybe I pop up to this level, create a 30-minute divergence, and that's all ripped away before or after CPI. So we want to pay attention to that. But tomorrow we do have data coming out, so be a little careful going into tomorrow. So they could go higher. I would just, for Meta, if you said you joined the Patreon, Meta, pay attention to the monthly expected move. Okay, Meta, monthly expected move. Look at that. And for Amazon, I would pay attention to both the monthly after you see what happens testing the weekly of this week. So the weekly is just like a point or two above you for Amazon. Meta, you have like 20 points, I think, till you get to the monthly. So you could see something crazy happen. But the likelihood of that happening is about probably 10%. I think it's like 13% or something like that. How likely does these respect the options price range that you were talking about? How often? A lot. One, you gravitate towards them. So they're good points to take profit because you gravitate towards them a lot. One thing I would say is how often? Well, let's look at the SPY and Qs today. Obviously on the daily, it's kind of like if you roll the ball around a roulette wheel long enough, you're going to see something crazy happen. That's what Meta's doing. Right? You're seeing something crazy happen. But look at this, SPY, daily range. We touch right there. We open in this area, Boom, closes back below. We're closing back below as of right now. Now, this is consolidation, so that could be a good sign, right? We are consolidating. We do that for a long time. Yep. Yep. So I don't post my personal trades. I give you trading ideas. I most of the time tell you guys what trades I'm taking live. Most of the time you can understand that if I'm giving you trade setups on Patreon, I'm taking one of those, like a couple of those trades most likely. Usually I like to take two at the same time, just in case one doesn't react, the other one does. The other one's a later reaction. I can just like get out, get back in, add to a position, things like that. But overall, not really posting my trades. I'm posting trade setups, so that would be very good. It's not. No, mainly you're and we go over this in the course. Like I think at one point I'm like we talk about the emotional side and I'm like you are the one that hits the buy and sell button at the end of the day. You're the one who has to decide whether you're going to take profit or not and things like that. My whole thing with, educating and things like that is to just give you the times where things look pretty probable, things you should look out for. And then you can make that decision for yourself. I'm never going to be like, this is a great buy, do it now. Like, no, I'm not going to do that because I know things can go wrong. So as long as you're getting your skill up to date and things like that, we've been doing very, very well with my calls lately. Reasons for a certain trade and stuff like that. Yeah, so the course is going to be the best place for that. The course will be the best place for that. But if you just read between the lines, okay? I've learned from a lot of YouTubers and I've put all the stuff that I use together, like all the stuff I've learned from other people, I've put it together to make myself a successful trader, right? So what you want to do is figure out what things I'm paying attention to. Oh, okay, positive territory, something very important. Divergences, something very important. Confirmation of those divergences, very important. Divergences outside of weekly ranges, outside of daily ranges, very important, right? And we actually, in the course, will tell you the exact reasons that you're looking for a trade, right? I literally give you 5 things that you can look for every single time. And then I say, you at least want 3. And that's what I would say. So if you want those reasons to take a trade, we go over it very, very good, very well in the course. But if you don't want to, if you maybe I don't know the financial situation, if you don't have, $200 to take the course, that's perfectly fine. You just have to do your due diligence and kind of read through these YouTube videos, if you understand what I'm saying. Which is exactly what I did when I started out, by the way. I bought the course too. Yeah, so I would just go through that area of the reasons to take a trade again. Hey, thank you. Thank you so much for your support. Really appreciate you. I appreciate it. I hope that's very good for you. I really do. I hope that you're able to take something away from it. And if you have more questions, you can always show up live anytime and keep giving me those. So thank you, Alex, for joining the Patreon. Thank you, Shali, for joining the Patreon, and Richard Chang. Thank you guys so much for joining the Patreon in the last 12 hours here. Really appreciate that. Sorry, I had to look at something real quick. So yeah, now you can utilize all those things. Come live, ask what, or come here live and just be like, oh, here's what I'm seeing, and that's a good thing too. I did that a lot. Okay, so here's something you can do if you're kind of starting out or you're trying to get better: is look for the signals, right? Look for certain things and try to guess what I'm going to say in my next YouTube video. That's actually what I used to do. So I used to be like, okay, I just learned about divergences, so what would Lucas say here? Oh, well, Lucas would say on the 2-hour here, we could go create a divergence in the future. Maybe we come up to this area and we create that divergence before CPI, right? That's what Lucas would say. But as of today, we're hitting that topside range. So what else would Lucas say? Well, Lucas would say, if we curl down into negative territory, what do we do? Well, we'd be in negative trend at that point. So maybe we test this low. Maybe we go make a new one if we see that drop off. But if we're able to hold up at higher levels, curl back up into positive territory, well, then we're going to see a move upward, and we're probably creating some kind of head and shoulders. See how quick I can do it now, but you want to be able to do that stuff and then kind of come to my video and be like, okay, I'm right. I completed yesterday, and it definitely helped a lot when to take the trade. Okay, the nerd alert. Hopefully you really enjoyed that. That's awesome. Thank you for taking the course. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hopefully you were able to focus on those reasons to take a trade. Oil needs to hold above $85. This drop is hurting my calls. Is oil dropping off pretty good here? It's consolidating. So this is why I like to take a few days out. Now, I don't necessarily see a reason to take upside here just yet. I actually see the divergence here on the RSI playing out. No real divergence here on the MACD at the same time. This looks kind of flagging at this point. So what I would say is look for this 2 hour, right? Treat it like a swing trade. You're above the 200. You're above the 200 on the daily as well, which is what you really want. See if you get a reaction down like this. See if that curls up. If this curls up, positive territory, good sign for that positivity to come back in. So what you can do is look for this to bounce down, curl back up, close above the 5 right before the crossing, and then figure out those reasons to take a trade. Well, I'm testing a certain level. I'm testing the 5-day. I'm testing the 20. I'm testing the 5-day on the daily chart. Okay, there's a good reason. Maybe look at a 30-minute. I don't see divergences just yet. Actually, maybe I'm about to. Okay, nothing here. If I'm trading a shorter time frame, look for 15-minute divergences. Okay, boom. What do we have? We have 15-minute divergence right now. Looks like it could curl over, go negative, so watch out for that move. But scaling in right here could lead to that 2 hour popping. Just be careful though, guys. Oil might react to the data tomorrow as well. I want to buy more of Apple or Nvidia. Nvidia's being tough, man. Nvidia's been so tough lately. Really looks like Nvidia might want to curl down on this 30-minute one more time, give you another point of divergence. Right now, you're seeing a triple divergence confirmed pretty good here, right? You have multiple point divergence, one here, one across here, right, with this low. So one across this way, one across this way. Head and shoulders could be what the move is right now, heading upward. If that goes positive, good sign. That rolls over. Not the best. I probably want to pull up an hourly, see if that rolls over. We could test down in this area, right? We've tested this trend a few times. 1, 2, 3. Maybe we go test it again. This is just a little flag, head a little lower. Then we see that reaction with CPI. But we're still waiting. 2 hour to curl up is really the only confirmation you need here. 2 hour curling up would be great. We knew that this should have sold off. Why? 2 hour divergence. Confirmed, right? Confirmed right on this bar here. So this bar up here towards 940 tells you I should not be taking any upside, right? And there's nothing here besides those divergences to scale in at this point because the likelihood of the 2 hour popping here is pretty good. Apple does look pretty good, right? Apple crossing up positive territory. The only thing I just wanted to point out was the possibility of this pulling back because I know expirations tomorrow. So I put this on Patreon, just a little bit of a, heads up. If this did confirm down, you can see that reaction, right? We can see this. It's looking pretty flaggy in here, right? So we actually just made that flag for you, seeing this go like that. So we could see another drop here. Maybe it retests a lower level. Maybe we set up another point of 30-minute divergence, right? Triple divergence would be solid. Then I would say that this is a great trade. As of right now, that trade's still positive, though. This divergence right here got you positive. We can see that keep going up. You just want to be cautious with the 15-minute at this point for Apple. Because if that confirms, you could see another test of this level here, get a retest, and then maybe we head up next week. Intel we looked at this morning. Let's see what it's doing. Still dropping down to lower levels as of right now. So that thing really dropping off. I just want to look at a daily scale here. I think the 200, 200's right there. So what you could say here is 200's right there. I still have multiple point divergence, right? I still have this one here. I could have this one across here. It looks like we could bounce. You did have head and shoulders here, so be careful with any kind of bounce because it could just reject in this liquidity. But as of right now, doesn't look too bad. From there, look for a 2 hour. No real divergences here on the 2 hour. So reasons to take a trade, a little bit low. I'll definitely look at Comcast. Yeah, let's start off on the daily here. Make sure, see, we're below the 200 on this one. So you have the potential to make that daily divergence right now. I would just say that you're curling over negative territory. We're at bottom Bollinger, but the 5's right there, so we can ride that down a little bit. No real divergences here just yet. So if you created a divergence here on the daily, I would be more excited about this, looking for a 2 hour or something like that. Nothing really there at this moment. 30-minute, this is what likes to happen on the MACD. We talk about this pretty often, how important the center line is on the course. Very, very important to pay attention to. Boom, we see this curling up. What do? We curl up towards the center line, and then if that crosses over, you're going to see a lower point, maybe create a divergence. So look for this. If it rolls over to roll back up, then you could say, hey, now I have a reason to take a trade on a shorter time. I have a way to enter the trade. It's hard to enter a trade with just like a daily divergence or something like that. You can still play it, for sure. Apple, I think, in that big run back in October when we found the bottom, and we were like, this is going to be the bottom. Apple's telling you. Boom. Okay, we didn't necessarily have a 2-hour divergence or anything. So your entry was just when that daily confirms, and boom, you would have, like, if you would have taken a month out, I think you would have made like 1,000% on your options play, maybe more. But yeah, Comcast, I would wait for more I need a better reason to take a trade, right? I need a little bit better reason than what I have right now. Oh yeah, J&J. Oh, good old J&J. This one here, see how this one you actually do have that 2-hour divergence, right? We could draw some stuff up, right? We just draw our ideas. Okay, boom. And then we see, maybe we connect these here. Right, so now we can see, okay, here's my downward price action, and then I do have a couple moves here. We're kind of seeing price get tight. I wouldn't really say wedge. You want 3 points most of the time, but you see price getting tighter. We could do something like this and then blow off to the upside. 2-hour divergence. If that confirms, look how we'd go positive right away. Okay, so J&J has the opportunity to go into positive territory here. Therefore, once I see that cross, I can pay attention to a daily, which in the daily price action here, we've been beat down. So if I'm going to see any upside, I would probably, if it had happened pretty quick up to 159, I'd be taking profit. I don't want to mess around below the 200. Once we get above the 200 and I see it pull back, that's when I'll really be saying, okay, now I'll look for that upside. Could be flagging a little here too on the daily scale. AMD really breaking down here, guys. 2-hour. Once, if that crosses, this might not be a good thing. So if AMD starts to break and close the day below 174, that's not going to look pretty. Right now, the 30-minute cross down, negative territory. What could we look out for on AMD? Well, it's been stuck in a range. So we want to see, does it base out around 174.85, right? Around this low, do we base out and do we get a reaction up as we start to see some coiling up here? Could be important going forward. What that would do for you, give you a little 30-minute divergence here. So right now, I just want to see if this sells this way, get some kind of reaction up, maybe with, I don't know, CPI or something. My puts are printing. That's what I'm talking about. AMD doesn't make sense. Someone is playing a weird game. It really doesn't. This is very, very strange to see this for that long on a stock like AMD. You know, you'll get those points where you get like little bundles, but notice there's a reaction within a few days, a couple days. This is going on from Tuesday, March 19th, all the way until now. We haven't moved. We really haven't moved. So I want to see, daily-wise, if you start breaking down below this 50 again, you're about to get the 20 to cross the 50. I think this just tells us, hey, soon AMD is probably going to come test 162.83, maybe in the month of April. Weirdly enough, I bet you the 4-hour looks like it's curving up towards the center line. Yeah, look at that. So curling up, even a 4-hour you could watch on this, but seeing that curl up, if that can curl down here, you might just get a quick move down to this level, and then this is where we could set up head and shoulders. Okay, so if you come down to here, we could get a big reaction like that, but look at that, head and shoulders. So once we see a divergence down here on the 4-hour, you're probably going to see a bounce in AMD, maybe before earnings. NVIDIA 4-hour about to go into there. Look at the 4-hour divergence too. That looks very, very clean. 2-hour rejecting still. So now we want to watch that 30 minutes, see if there's some kind of reaction here. See if we break down, if we're able to hold up at lower levels, if we confirm some kind of divergence. I would really be waiting for confirmations on stocks like NVIDIA because it's very wild. One thing I wanted to check also, SMCI, that broke to the upside. Now it's starting to fade. Okay, starting to fade. That's not a good sign. We have this flatness of the MACD here, which actually could be slight hidden divergence on the MACD. Something we don't talk about often. You don't see it too often, hidden divergence, honestly, but we can explain that maybe in a video on the course later. You just don't see it a ton of the time. Now, remember, if we want to head higher here, we like to form little head and shoulders. So maybe this point here is that. Maybe we get left head and some kind of right shoulder. So we still just want to be paying attention to some possibility for upside. 2-hour crosses goes positive. That was positive this morning. Now it's negative. So you have to read into that. If that rejects, we could break through some structure and head lower. Where do I think we head to? Maybe 811. Maybe we need to do some weekly ranges for that. Mara breaking down again. That's actually interesting. Remember, Mara was something we talked about live, giving you that 30-minute, maybe an hourly. Was it an hourly? I think it was a 30-minute divergence we were pointing out that could roll over the 2-hour. That happened. So this was a great trade setup here. Now you're noticing what? Well, we built up towards that center line a little bit, starting to drop off. So I'd expect some kind of reaction around 1742. This low down here, if you're able to create a divergence with that area, that would be a good sign for Mara going forward. Something you want to look at as well, Bitcoin, right? I like my 4-hour. Is that curling up? Well, it's curling up as of right now. So where could we go? Well, we could test a level of liquidity, which would just be this level right here. Maybe this was overexcited and we want to come test this baseline up here, this top here, the ceiling, and then we want to come up like this. That would be interesting, but as of right now, you could say, hey, we're just kind of coiling up in this area. And maybe we're going to see an explosive move up, an explosive move down. Be patient, wait for those reactions. And that's the thing, we react, right? We don't try to guess which way the stock's going. There's times when it makes sense to take a play early. There are times when it makes sense. Meta, this makes sense. It makes a little bit of sense to take a play a little early here. You have divergences across the way, hitting major resistances outside of the weekly range. See how I'm making those reasons that are right in front of me. I'm not like creating them to convince myself to take it. I'm just saying what is happening and then going based off that. Okay, triple divergence here on the daily, not looking the best. Let's look at Amazon. Amazon, well, about to maybe create a divergence as well up towards that weekly expected move. Yeah, and Paracosm, I think that's the best way to put it. NVIDIA's still on the daily. I think that's a very good point to make. Still on the daily. NVIDIA is above the 20. What do we need for NVIDIA to see lower prices? We need to break the 20. I mean, look at AMD when it broke its 20. AMD breaks its 20. It's been struggling ever since. So that is something telling. Now it's breaking below its 50. So you could get a reaction down to that 163 level right in here. And then you could actually go test that 200. If you test that 200 and see that turn around, that's actually still okay. That's still bullish. You just want to pay attention if you see a lower high setup. But NVIDIA's still looking good. Like it really is. It's still up there. It's just, it's taking a lot of time. That's what can eat away at options, that time. Oh God, we haven't looked at that today. But oh, this one here. There's pretty much your I know this isn't the kiss of death, but I would say that's pretty close to a kiss of death. If this starts to cross over on the daily, you're probably heading down to at least the 200, somewhere around $23. You could see this ripped away really quick. Now, what I would say here is if we want some structure on the way down, look at this base right here. Maybe we want to do something like this, create that head and shoulders, okay? So there still is potential here, but as you see that daily divergence, look at this. Someone's like, I'm struggling to find those divergences. Just look, just draw it for yourself. You can take a straight line a lot of the time and just do something like this and be like, okay, that is down. This from the closing bar to the closing top, or the highs here on the opening. Guess what? We got divergence there. So not looking good for DJT, not looking good for Trump media here. Seeing those divergences could lead you to a negative trend. What does that mean? Probably test this level 32. Test the 200 at 23.50. If you're not going to hold up there, you're probably going down to 17.15. Tesla, we haven't looked at in a minute. Tesla looks, ooh, that's a strong move. This is what we were saying on Tesla. This 2-hour could roll up for some kind of retest. If it rolls up into positive territory, we might see a higher low setup here, right? This could just be a higher low, right? We have the low. Now we have a higher low. We need to beat this high. You go and beat this high, you can create a divergence, so be careful with that. But as of right now, you have to say left head. Maybe this is a deep right shoulder to head upward. If this breaks through that level, retest, we could head all the way up to 200, 209, right in that area. Google does have a probability to stay where it's at. It does. It has the potential to move higher. I want you to see this 30-minute here, how it's still right near positive territory. We've consolidated for a little while here, and therefore you have to say if this curls up positive territory, I could go create that divergence first. Create that divergence, then see some kind of entry into Google here. But as of right now, this is all the options market expects for Google. Now, I'm not saying Tesla has to go up, right? We're curling up towards the center line. That just curls over. What happens? We usually take out this low and head lower. So to the downside, if we're not able to test this high or break through this high, it could just be a retest, and you could be getting left head. And possibly just this was a fluke, and we're getting that right shoulder right now. So you do have potential to go either way. You just want to keep flipping back and forth. Trade like water out there. 130, only 63 likes. Y'all need to step it up and hit that like button. Hey, I appreciate that, Willow. Thank you. Well, what we'll do is we're just going to watch stuff for about 5 more minutes here, and then I'm going to hop off. I'm going to get some chores done, give myself an extra hour today to get some chores done, and join me back for tonight's video. But 5 minutes here, we'll give a full breakdown. And we can check JP Morgan. Yeah, so this one here, what do you have? Curling up. Possibly positive territory here. You just say if you break through this high, making a new one. All right, maybe you want to look at a 2 hour or something, see what that looks like. If that curls up, that's a pretty good divergence here. But as you are basing out, right, we're not seeing dramatic selling. We're not seeing like a selling pattern like this. That was able to base out. But if you see this kind of do that and then flag and then do it again, that's when you really should be worried for JP Morgan. And that could be coming soon. I just think there's potential here for a triple divergence, right? We could come up here. So what I would do is I would connect these highs like this, right? I would say, okay, connect these highs right here. If I make a move upward, what could happen? Well, I could move up. We could cross on this MACD for a brief moment, but that would be really, really close to negative territory. So if something like that were to happen, it would be a great time for an entry. You're getting priced very, very tight in this area. Good morning, Junior. How you doing? AMD is still breaking down right now. Gosh, if that 2 hour crosses, it looks pretty ugly for AMD. Which is crazy because AMD looked so good, and then we get this weird price action sideways. Right? And the funny part about this is, if you would have gone a little higher, I think you would have seen positivity. If you would have gone just a little bit higher, held green in this area, I think you would have saw that positivity. I really, really do. But now that you're starting to maybe curl down, guess where we're curling down? You want to see how important and why you should be thinking about taking the course if you don't know a lot about the MACD. Look how important this center line is right now. Curling back down right before we go positive. Look, we went positive for just a second here. Boom, a little bit stronger bar, right? But we're not positive now. We can curl over and be negative immediately, which means, hey, we might see lower price action. I'm going to look out for a 2 hour divergence on AMD. I think this would be a great little play into the future. Just be careful. There's some news going on tomorrow. And then we have news next week, CPI and things like that. I want to see if Jerome Powell's talking at all next week. Fed Boston, core inflation. FOMC minutes is on the same day as CPI. But if we can take anything away from what Jerome Powell said yesterday, and I don't see Jerome Powell talking as of right now. We have PPI. Previous was 0.6. Looks like PPI is supposed to come down 0.3, 0.4. CPI, previously 0.4, 0.4 on the inflation rate month over month, 3.8 on the year over year. Supposed to come down a little bit. So if we see any tick up here, that could be bad news for the stock market. I want to look at what TLT is doing. Remember, this is the one that I just took profit on, made 114%. So this here, what do? We're up towards the center line. What do we like to do around the center line? It's the true test. It really is. So if this wants to remain in positive territory, that'd be a good sign. But if this just curls over, look at that negative. We can create some kind of divergence maybe before CPI or something like that. And maybe these yields start to drop dramatically after that point. Or maybe it's FOMC minutes announcing when they're actually going to cut. But they haven't done that yet. I wouldn't expect them to do anything crazy. 30-minute here, look how we're just holding at this higher level. This is actually a good sign for tomorrow. Actually is a good sign, but remember we have data. So data can ruin everything. Thanks, Jerome Powell, for making us dependent on that. Books are cooked. They will make it do what they want with CPI. I think so. I mean, they weren't able to do that. I don't think they would want to print bad numbers for CPI unless they want to see those yields. They want to see those yields go back down. So this time they could be cooked, to be honest. Oh God, bank earnings too. Jesus, oh no. Totally kind of skipped my mind. I'm talking about so many stocks, but you're so right, Marina. Oh my God. Let's see how good these banks are doing. I can tell you something cool about I actually do a credit union for all my stuff. I do a credit union instead of an actual like bank. And they actually post their balance sheet in the bank, in the credit union. So I get to go in and I literally stood there for 30 minutes reading their balance sheet, looking through it, making sure they were profitable. What usually happens to the someone say, there we go. What usually happens to the market the day before CPI? Well, sometimes you can be excited before it, and sometimes you can sell off before it. The good thing to pay attention to is TLT. TLT, a lot of the time, it will not make a big reaction before CPI. So if you see a big reaction before CPI, like, you know, TLT really buying up, selling off on the bringing this 10-year yield down, that might be telling. If TLT actually does something before the news, that means they believe, oh, CPI is going to come in lower, so, you know, those yields are going to drop off. Now, if they believe that the CPI is going to be bad, well, they'll bring price down. They'll maybe raise those yields. So you want to see what the actual reaction is, but TLT can sometimes give you a hint. I can tell you if they have no clue what's on it, it'll move sideways. It might move sideways and down like this. You get the divergence. That's what I would pay attention to with TLT. Good trade for myself here. Really enjoyed that one. Easy little 114%. So the VIX, this is where we can see things start to escalate. This could just be a retest, guys, right? This hourly starts to turn up, 2 hour starts to turn up again, right? We can see it go positive very, very quickly. Market goes sideways, if not down, before any important news is released. It depends. It depends. Right now, I would say people are worried that CPI is going to tick up again. So I expect us to maybe sell off before CPI. That's why I'm talking about the structure that could be forming here on the 30-minute, right? The structure that could form before CPI, right? This could be reaction up, reaction down, curl back up. Because if that CPI comes out, any kind of good news, left head, right shoulder, look at that structure to head up. Looks great. Biden administration job growth numbers are subsidized by record numbers of government jobs. Yes, so most of the jobs being added are government jobs. And if they're not government jobs, there are illegal immigrants taking those jobs. So the fact that over and over, Jerome Powell yesterday was like, immigrants have really added to the jobs market. That's actually, maybe we could look at some of those data points over the weekend where it shows you how many people that are like citizens have jobs versus the percentage of people who are illegal immigrants with jobs. And it's like this. The chart is, this is the people at the low end who are like citizens with jobs. This is the percentage of immigrants or whatever. But that's why it adds to the problem. And then they have to keep creating more government jobs to now, you know, take care of that crisis. Yes, and that's what I was trying to say live. If you guys heard me for a quick second, he just kept saying immigrants, immigrants, immigrants. We've seen a huge influx of import of immigrants. And I'm like, what kind? What kind of immigrants? Legal? No, they're not. Most part, they're not. I respect anyone that came here legally. I respect it. To analyze stocks, I'm literally just looking at TradingView, and then I'll do my own research for like fundamental type stuff as well. But for the most part, I'm just looking at this type of stuff. And then throughout the day, I'll just click on this. If I see a little piece of news, I'll dig deeper into it. Like if I see a Big move in Meta. Meta had a big move. We might look, hey, what's the news going on? Is Amazon poised for a major shift with potential dividends and share buybacks on the horizon? Okay, they have buybacks coming for Amazon. Something to pay attention to. Meta Platforms Insider an hour ago sold shares worth $15.4 million. Okay, so I can maybe go run with that. I can go look at the insiders buying and selling, right? We have that little thing, that little link up here. We have the SEC filer. Didn't want to load. There it goes. We have the SEC files, right? So we can look at this. We can say, okay, who's selling? Then we just hit search. We look for what's been sold off over the last few days or so. And we see if there's anything you're looking at here. It's just a good link to have in your back pocket. A lot of Wayfair being kind of sold off. You want to look for Palantir. Palantir on the 1st was being sold. So then you can look up these people, see what kind of stake they have and things like that, right? Something 100,000, nothing crazy to think about there. But you just want to go through and see, and then maybe after that you're like, okay, I haven't seen a ton of stuff selling at this point. What if people are buying? What would they be buying? Let's go take a look. All right, we're not seeing any real big names in here as of now, but you can look through a lot of this stuff. A lot of the time I do this off stream and I'll look for stuff because I can be a little bit more diligent with it, but that's a very good link to have. SLCA, I don't think I've even looked at that before, honestly. We can look at it, but I'll just look at it from the daily perspective here, seeing a small divergence here on the daily forming, not confirmed. We're outside of the Bollinger. You could react down to the 5 or move sideways till that 5 catches up. Strong move above the 200. If you can base out, curl up again, you probably have a positive move left here. But daily divergence, just pay attention because that might fade. Look for any 2-hour stuff, right? 2-hour divergence right here, so that could roll over the daily. So you might see a pullback, maybe down into like 1124. Apple, another strong little push higher. Strong little push higher. It's you guys, I'm just going to tell you, it's much harder to short tops than it is just to, like trade swings and look for actual formation and stuff like that. Gold, this thing just going ballistic. If you wanted to take a chance at this, you could wait for that 2-hour to fully roll over. This is a big move. It probably needs to digest, but who's to say that big move doesn't just continue, right? We've continued for quite some time. So at this point, you'd say flatness of the MACD, flatness of the RSI at the same time. Okay, we could get some kind of pullback. Maybe that wants to pull back to the 20 on this 2-hour and then head upward. That would probably line up with somewhere around that 5-day moving average. Boom, boom. We see that start to move up. That's all I would say about gold. It's much harder to call tops in here. But if we do get some data tomorrow that says inflation isn't that bad, or if we get CPI that says inflation is going down, I suspect gold will come off a little bit. Well, actually, so weirdly enough, this is your inflation hedge, right? But in a deflation event, I believe gold will come down. The SPY, weirdly enough, if you're talking about inflation, the SPY's inflated just like gold is, right? So technically, I think this should be going the other way, but it's not. Remember the dollar? So the gold would make more sense, but the dollar is seeing a lot of strength as well. So the dollar actually coming down like this probably helped gold out a little bit, but the dollar and gold moving up at the same time is kind of interesting. So not trying to read too much into it. I want to probably do more research on it before I fully comment. All right, so let's give a little breakdown of what could happen over the next, of the rest of the day. So right now you're seeing the 2-hour did curl up on this MACD. Positive territory, we can see a positive move. All right, we are curled up as of right now. Pay attention to that. If we start to fade and that uncrosses, we can go negative pretty quick. So 2 hours is going to be very important to watch. But look at that. We did very well. We hit the daily expected move. This is what we were overall saying in last night's video. Looking for that move upward. 30-minute going positive. If it rejects that rolling down, you're going to see a positive move. boom, we see that positivity come in. Where do we start to slack? Right here. We consolidate the rest of the day. We can see another move higher. Very, very interesting to see us consolidate here. Very good sign for the market. But what do we see? Every reaction off of the 20. This is that reaction off of the 20 and the bottom side of our weekly expected move. Great little thing going on here. Boom, we see that move up for the rest of the week because we react off that 20. Now we have to see, do we break through these resistances, or are we just going to curl down and to go negative? So if this 30-minute curls down, actually goes negative, good shot. We're going to take this low out and come test this one. Be a little cautious with that. Q's, similar story, right? Curl down, test this low, test this one here. The key is we were pointing out on the daily how we've held up in between the 20 and the 50 multiple times while the SPY is testing its 20, so it makes total sense for us to hold up here. That is a very good thing to pay attention to. This thing already curled up positive territory, so you have to say the probability is pretty high here to go higher, to at least test this high. Now you want to look out for next week if there's some kind of divergence before CPI. I think that would be pretty telling. I think it's expected to be bad overall, but I'm interested to see if that is the overall sentiment, just because, you know, Jerome Powell has come out so many times and said, like, yeah, we need to pay attention to the data, but we're doing a good job. So I wonder if people will take that as some kind of sign that we're actually not going to see a bad CPI and then it comes out bad. But we'll have to pay attention. IWM, I think it's got a good shot to create that 2-hour divergence here, right? If it curls up into positive territory, which it looks like it's about to do. So IWM setting up some kind of move higher, not able to form that structure to head down. So now one thing to pay attention to, 30-minute again. It's a lot of these are going to be 2-hour curling up or the 30-minute fully rotating down. Because if we rotate down on this, you'll go negative pretty quick. We pretty much, Paracosm, want to be in a spot where we can react either way. Before that CPI print, right? We just want to pay attention here. This not able to confirm on that 15 minutes, so that is very, very good news. As of right now, you still have that 15-minute divergence, so watch out by end of day if that's ripped away. But the 2-hour curling up, gaining some ground here. Good trade. I got out of this one. I think I lose on this one. No, I didn't lose on this one. I only made like 15, I think 10 or 15% maybe on this guy. But if I would have held that a little bit, I'd probably be up 50% or something like that. That's okay. My other trade did well. I just didn't want any chance of something bad happening. So if this wanted to go up from here, first of all, you're testing the area where you can break down again. First of all, just wanted to point that out. Now you're at the area where you could set up that right shoulder firmly right here, right? We got that, maybe this left head grabbing more liquidity to head down. So I would just say this over next week. See if that 2-hour goes positive. Make sure it's not rolling down. Because if this goes like this and just rolls right back down, that could mean we're going to test this low, go make a new one. But there is opportunity here to go back up into this zone that we've sold off from. So there is an opportunity to go as high as 176 or something like that. We'll pay attention to the weekly moves of next week. That might be good for Apple. Tesla, curling up on that MACD. So you want to see left head, right shoulder. Are we going to go get a retest to see that fail? That's where you want to see if that 2 hours rolling back down. That's what I would say for Tesla. What we can pay attention to till then, see if the 30 minutes able to roll negative in the near term. But if this gets that full retest, you're going to be pretty positive. So any kind of pullback here, if it just curls back up on this MACD, we could see more positivity. Will that create a divergence up towards 180.92? That's been good to us. That's what we'll pay attention to next week. So I try to give you what could happen later on. Amazon still just creeping up. In order for this divergence on the RSI to prove itself, you need to turn from right here. So scaling into this position, I'm not too worried about it. Looks like a good place to take a position. But you're seeing it's kind of getting rid of a lot of divergences, but you still have those good ones between this point all the way through this, right? So wait for that 2 hour to curl over if you want to be cautious. Me, I'm pretty, I've been doing this for a while, so I can get in and get out. Maybe I just, I'll probably put a stop right at this high. So where's that stop? The high here, 184.89. But I know this, the weekly range is literally right above us, and we're going into Friday tomorrow, so not the best look. NVIDIA just still struggling, man. NVIDIA is still struggling, but we're still above that 20-day moving average, so nothing really to worry about until we lose that. We could just curl up late tomorrow, something like that before close, and then we see that curl up. So really pay attention for this to actually cross on this MACD and go positive at this point, as it has been building up for quite some time. On the 30-minute here, you do have the structure, right? You have a little bit. You're just grabbing a bunch of liquidity in here. So you could head higher. Now, if we want to roll down on this MACD, right, we're seeing some red bars. If we want to roll down, maybe this divergence, this really wasn't that good of a divergence, right? But it was there, so we pay attention to it. Maybe this wants to roll down a little bit more before getting that pop. Maybe we want to come down into this area before we actually see that go up. AMD, this one, not looking pretty. Kind of just seeing that gradual selling. See if we see a divergence down here for a double bottom. That would be interesting. But really, this 2-hour rolling over into negative territory, it's pretty bad. The probabilities of this 2-hour rolling down further are higher than that 30-minute curling up at this point. So you'd have to say, you know, most likely 163, but a little piece of data can change that. So be willing to trade like water with AMD. Look for a divergence down here, but if that 2-hour starts to break below this level, close below this level, you're probably heading to 163. Meta starting to break to the upside. Are we going to see that fade? We are well outside of the weekly expected move. We very well may head towards the monthly expected move next week, but we've seen these moves fade up here, right? If we pull up the daily, every time we've popped out of this consolidation, we've faded. But if this curls up, positive territory. We could see a few days here of positivity. Maybe we go test that top side of that week, that monthly expected move for April. It would be very, very telling if in the first few days, the first, 8 days of trading in the market, we actually see this hit that monthly expected move. That might tell you, hey, this is kind of bad. And it could just go sideways all the way till CPI. It depends on how people are seeing that. This here, we could create another little daily divergence. This is why I'm saying the upside looks a little limited. You're starting to see a lot of momentum dying out in this area. Maybe we create a quadruple divergence for a brief moment here on Microsoft. This looks like a great trade. I just want to point that out. This looks like a great trade if we can see an upward move. If one of my other trades starts to pan out, I might actually get this into Microsoft instead, just because look at that coming up on the 2-hour. You'd create a solid divergence here right by negative territory. That would be a good out. That would be a good look. So we'll point out a lot of this stuff. Probably tomorrow we're going to put out that video on Patreon. Google, this one, 2-hour divergence confirmed, another good one. You have daily divergence up here as well between this point. So we've seen a big run. Now we see those divergences not looking the most strong. 30-minute here. Want to see if that can curl up positive territory. We haven't been able to break down just yet, right? We haven't been able to break down. We're close to the center line. This is when you can see another positive push, but is that short-lived? We're going into the close on Friday, so really pay attention to these upside weekly expected moves. Let's go through volatility real quick. Volatility just keeps coming down. We said this 2 hours probably going to roll over. We're probably going to see some positivity. So if you watched last night's video, a lot of positivity is what we were talking about. Sure, we give you the possible bearishness as well, but when we're focusing on the positivity, you can pretty much be like, yeah, we think this is going to be positive tomorrow. Curling over, just wait. If this 2 hour, whether it does it here, whether it does it all the way down here, when this 2 hour curls back up, it's probably going to be right by that center line. See if we get another push up higher in volatility here. That could be very, very telling. We want to look for any kind of pops in the dollar as well, right? We've seen this drop off pretty dramatically. Where's that going towards? Well, if it remains above this 200, that might not be good news for the overall stock market. So one thing I would say is if this daily can confirm this divergence up here, right? We see the divergence on the MACD. We see the divergence flat on the RSI at this point. So we could see some kind of pullback down to this area, see a positivity for a few days. If that starts to break through here, we might be getting some inflationary blow off top. That would be kind of nuts. So that's something to pay attention to. Lastly, TLT starting to drop off. It looks like we could see a reaction down from TLT for now. We could see a reaction down, but maybe we see that burst back upward. So TLT, the reason I'm saying we could see a reaction down, maybe see those yields go higher for a brief moment, especially because we have data tomorrow, is just because we're right towards that center line. We're getting some, white bars at this point. So we could roll over, see a point of divergence. Then this would be another good entry. Right here, this little trade right here on the 15-minute divergence, right? Took a little trade there. Boom. I get this. That's 100% right there. Just so you know, TLT is something good to trade. You don't have to see huge moves up. This is literally like 2 points. I make 100%. It's very, very good. So if this curls back down, you bet your butt I'm going to be taking another trade down here, as long as I see confirmation. And then I can hold it a little longer if that starts to go positive, right? If I see some positivity, this isn't the most positive looking thing right here. I really want to see a reaction. Boom, a reaction like this. Then I can say, okay, I'll hold that for a little bit more time, but we're starting to struggle on this 30-minute. So I can get close to that positive territory here. Maybe a good little entry right there. All right, let's leave you guys on. The Q's still seeing positivity there. All right, so we want to pay attention to a lot of things. Look for the 15-minute. Maybe we see divergences here. Maybe we make a move up. We see a small divergence there. We can pay attention to that overall throughout today. How far out were your calls? I take, usually my plays, I take a full month out. Yeah, I take a full month out, and we didn't even hit like my number, right? I take it out of the, take it kind of out of the money just a little bit. And we didn't even hit it, but my value went up by 115%. Sorry, I had to burp. All right, guys, I just wanted to leave you guys off with that. Thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing. If you want to learn about this stuff, right, some people came in and talked about the course. I'm glad you guys are really finding it beneficial. I would just say, hey, let's think about taking that if you're trying to get better at this stuff. Kind of see the stock market how I see it. Learn in depth about the MACD. Learn about these divergences, how to find them, and learn about those reasons to take a trade. I think that's one of the most beneficial parts. And then if we go into a bear market, you'll have a strategy to use that I personally have used, and I can tell you its success rate is about 85%. I've back tested it. It's very, very good. As long as you're trading like water, you should be able to do it. So thank you guys for joining. I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys for joining the Patreon, always being supportive, always liking the video, showing up every morning. I really, really do appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day trading, but I hope you're back here later on YouTube so I can wish you a good night. That sounded kind of creepy. Peace.